It's the Big 5-0, strangers.
Happy 50th episode.
Hey, strangers. Welcome to our 50th episode of the Strange Sessions. I am Krista, and with me is about to turn almost 50.
About to turn 49 tomorrow.
It'd be so much cooler if you were turning 50.
No, it would not be cool. I'm having a hard time comprehending turning 49.
Just for the sake of the show, it'd be cool.
It would be. I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of the synchronization between...
I just came up with it now.
Wow.
So happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you.
Although by the time this episode comes out, it will be happy
way
birthday
past
last
birthday.
week.
Exactly. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome. You. How does this feel? 50 episodes, huh?
Yeah, I remember
crazy.
you and I talking about this when we started, saying that we got to hit 50, and it seemed like such a... Like, I wasn't 100% sure it was going to happen. Yeah, it did seem like, it wasn't going to happen. So,
especially at the beginning.
It's weird when I think about it that I feel like we haven't been doing this long, but at the same time, I feel like we have been doing this for quite a while.
It's been over 2 years now.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm just stoked. 50 episodes is pretty good.
And we've had a pretty good spike in our listenership over the last few weeks. I noticed our top 2 episodes of The Missing 411, of course. Yeah. Those are my favorite too. And each of those episodes now officially has over 1,000 unique listeners per episode, which is really cool. But we have episodes that have been listened to almost 2,000 times because I don't know what people are doing.
That just floors me. Apparently it's a sleep aid. People like to listen to us to help them get to sleep at night.
Hey man, whatever works.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So no, I'm excited. 50 episodes. But this will be our last episode. No, I'm just kidding. It's not going to be our last episode.
What?
Krista looked at me like, what?
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, I think later in the episode we'll talk about like our favorite episodes and stuff. But it's just amazing to me that, now it's like, are we going to be able to hit 100?
Yeah. I think so.
I hope so.
And we have all these people along with the ride.
Yeah.
For
I wanted
to
go back and look to see who like our first 10 strangers were, but I didn't get a chance to do that.
Probably people we know.
It was probably family. I remember when you...
They're not really strangers.
like right at the very start where we're like, do you know this person?
I know.
Like, no, do you know this person?
Oh my God, we were
like
so psyched.
Super excited when somebody we didn't personally know. And it's like, oh my God.
And now every stranger truly is a stranger.
Yeah, so it's just been really cool. And
it has been awesome.
Like she said, we're just so happy you folks have been along for the ride. It means the world to us.
We're still astounded that anyone even listens.
Yeah, we are.
So,
we are.
The fact that we're getting 1,000 listens on some of our
we got
top
some
episodes,
really sweet messages too for our 50th. So it's awesome. So you guys are awesome, and it's just been an amazing experience.
So do we have housekeeping?
We have shout-outs.
We have shout-outs. Okay. Yeah. We have quite a few new strangers, don't we?
Do. I didn't realize we had that many until I looked this morning, and I was kind of like, holy cow. So... we want to give shout-outs to our newest strangers, and those are... This first one, I think he might have got a shout-out in the last one when we threw him on at the last second because...
Is it Bennett?
Yes.
Okay, we did totally give... Well, he's getting a double shout-out.
You're getting a double shout-out, buddy, so enjoy. Shout-outs this week are Brandon Bennett, Donald Rose, Liz Brown, Sydney Bennett, Scott Stevenson, Ray Peckson, Heather Cole, Ronan Ismail, Trenton Lay, and Kimberly Zink.
So do you think the two Bennetts are related?
I don't know. I wondered about that too.
Interesting. Because, someone will start listening and then they'll suck their spouse or girlfriend or whatever into, or boyfriend into it. So you never know.
Whenever I see Sydney Bennett, I always think like changes to Sydney Prescott in my head because I think that was the girl from Scream. That was the main character in the Scream movies was Sydney.
I hear the voice.
Yeah.
Sydney.
Yeah. Yep. So thank you guys for joining the strangers.
Yes,
I think
we have
it's weird because it fluctuates where all of a sudden it's like somebody leaves.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, our total will go down by like a person, and then it'll jump up by like 5.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why people are leaving, but sorry if we said something that offended you.
I guess in the strangers, but I feel like people are really level-headed and respectful in the strangers. I haven't seen anything offensive in there.
No.
Or heated even.
No. One of the things that
I think people know we're not going to tolerate that.
One of the things that we're going to bring up is no political posts. There was one posted a couple days ago, I think maybe yesterday, and I was going to remove it, but it tied in with the pedophilia groups.
Yeah.
And we kind of brought that up with the Elsa Gate stuff. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about secret societies like the Illuminati and all this stuff, there's a lot of speculation about about pedophilia rings and child abuse. So
it definitely ties into conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we kind of let that go. But anything political,
keep it respectful. Yeah. Let's not go on any rants about whoever you're not into or whatever.
Yeah, anything political is going to be taken out.
Strange. Yeah. Keep it strange.
I have my political viewpoints. I know you have yours. Yeah. And it's just I'm disgruntled with both parties. I really am. It's just it's
sucks.
A mess, right? It does. Everyone sucks. Everyone's corrupt. It's just a mess right now. Yeah.
And so far everybody's been super respectful in the group, and let's just keep it that way. And let's religious or political, please tie it into something we discussed.
The religious
on the show.
One is going to be a slippery slope though, because Chris and I were talking about this before the podcast, because we talk about angels, we talk about possession. We're going to be talking about near-death experiences. So like, where's the line between talking about religion and preaching religion? So
I think there is a fine line, but so far I think that our strangers are very level-headed and logical. And
as more people
I'm not
join,
too worried about
people join, I worry about that stuff happening.
We'll be shutting you down pretty quick if you do anything that's disrespectful to anyone else or offensive to anyone else in the group. So you've been warned. Yeah, but we love you.
Yeah, we love you.
Unless you're a jerk, then we don't love you.
No, then we'll kick you out.
Yes.
Do we have housekeeping?
We have the power. I was going to mention a movie.
What movie?
So, have you seen Us?
No, but I've heard it's good.
Okay, so did you see Get Out?
No.
Okay, you have to watch both. They're both by the same director. Yeah. Something Peele.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele?
Yep, I think something it's Jordan
Peele. Super creepy. And I love both movies have a very similar style, and it is very unsettling and very, very creepy. But both movies, be prepared. What you think is going on
isn't what's going on.
Not at all what's going on. Big twists. Like, you're shouting at the TV half the time because you don't
Get Out.
Like any horror movie. Like,
Get Out.
Don't go in there.
I didn't see it, but I read on Wikipedia what happens. So I don't really need to see it.
Oh, it's so good, though. You should anyway, because the performances were really stellar.
I got to get away from doing that. Like, if there's a movie coming out I want to see, I read it on Wikipedia.
Why would you do that?
Like, I don't know. I'm getting old and
That's
crotchety.
That's how Jeff is.
I know. I'll have to watch it.
Jeff is one of the co-hosts of Paranormal Forever, by the way.
I haven't seen any movies. I didn't have anything to research for this podcast. Because it's listener stories. So this week I actually got to play a video game for the first time.
What did you play?
I played the game Life is Strange.
Life is Strange.
And it is one of the most amazing games I've ever played. Did you ever see any of the Walking Dead games, or at least like kind of animation? It's basically you're watching this story play out and you make choices along the way of what happens.
That's interesting.
And that's what Life is Strange. She goes back to the town in Oregon. I don't know how to pronounce Oregon anymore because I keep hearing Oregon. And to me, that's not...
I think both people, or people say it both ways.
But she goes back to her...
Missouri.
Missouri. She goes back to her hometown, and something happens with her best friend, and her best friend gets shot and killed. And then the girl realizes that she has the power to rewind time a little bit. So that's what it is. And then it has all these choices in there. And there's like just the very last choice you got to make in there is just like an impossibly heartbreaking choice. So
are you actually moving the character around though?
Yeah, like you're walking around searching for clues, and you're talking to other people, and then if they say something that you can use, like when you're talking, you can rewind time, and then that'll show up as an option you can talk to them about. It's an amazing.
Did you rent it?
No, I bought it.
Okay.
But it's an amazing game. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing. The songs in there are amazing. So it is one of the best games I think I've ever played, and I'm not saying that I cried, but I'm not saying that I didn't cry. So it was a really good game.
Well, it kind of makes me think of Silent Hill. I think a lot of video games like that, where they're like first person role playing games or whatever, where there's movie sequences throughout the whole game that kind of lead.
This is like one of those. The whole movie is like one of those sequences, and you're like choosing what you say and what you do. So Life is Strange. Check that out. That is a good game. Yeah,
I like it.
I also want to bring up, I tried the randonauting.
Oh, yeah. I kept meaning to text you about it, and then I kept forgetting.
It was a disaster.
Oh, tell me what happened.
Well, every place that it's sent me to was like in the middle of like way out
shop for trespassing,
or it was in somebody's backyard.
Oh, sure.
And it's like I can't. It sent me 3 times to places that I could actually get to.
And did you go?
Yes. The first time it was just somebody's house, like the sidewalk up to somebody's house, and there was absolutely nothing there.
Okay.
And fresher, randonauting is where you're given a completely quantum number random destination to go to.
GPS coordinates.
And there's supposed to be something there that's like meaningful to you or significant. And a couple people from the group have asked me about it.
Yeah.
So I went to this first house, nothing there, just somebody's sidewalk, and I was like, okay. And then the second one it brought me to was a factory parking lot in Manitowoc, and it was that Tramontina. It just closed. Like 2 days ago, they announced that they're closing, and it's kind of big news.
Okay. That's interesting.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Tramontia?
I've never heard of it.
But yeah, it was weird that it brought me there, and I'm like, there's nothing here. I'm on this corner of this parking lot, and there's nothing here. And then now it's like huge news here that it's closing. So kind of maybe
that could be something.
But
I don't know. I think you also may end up grasping at straws to find it, though.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I thought it was kind of interesting that it brought me to a place that was going to be in the news a couple days later. And then the last one was a cluster. It was a mess where there is this road in Manitowoc that has like field next to it, and it's like up a hill a little bit, but it looks like a beautiful field. Like I've always wanted to like go up there, even though I think I'm trespassing technically.
Yeah.
I wanted to go up there because it looks just the sky. It's just a beautiful field. And the last time I tried it, it brought me to that field. And I'm like, this is cool because I've always kind of wanted to go there. But there is a detour now. So I didn't want to just...
too conspicuous.
Yes, I didn't want to just walk up the hill to
Yeah.
that because everybody would see me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this railroad tracks alongside of it that aren't used anymore, so it's all overgrown. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try going there and then try going up the hill to the field.
Okay.
So I get out of my car. The house right on the corner by the railroad tracks, there's a guy sitting in his driveway in a chair,
Okay.
So I say, I nod to him and say hi.
Catch trespassers.
I nod to him and say hi and walk past him. And then like right down from him was a railroad track. So I cut down really quick down the railroad track. And the day before, it had stormed like crazy. And it was overgrown with grass because it's not used anymore. Mm-hmm. So I was immediately like, my pants were soaking wet. My shirt was soaking wet like up to my chest.
Jeez.
And I'm like, okay, this sucks. So then I get off the railroad tracks to cut up the hill to the field, get up to the top of the hill, realize that it's like overgrown with brush and I can't get through it. So I turn around to go back down and I slip on the wet grass. My phone goes flying and I caught my arm on something coming down and I had a big long gash on my arm and I had blood running down my arm.
Oh my God.
So I'm sitting here like looking for my phone and I can't find my phone in the tall grass. So I'm going around. I am soaking wet.
And bleeding.
And I finally find my phone, and then I walk back to my car, and I have to walk past the guy again.
I thought you were going to say he came and yelled at you.
I just walked past him like a couple minutes ago, and fine.
And
now I walk past, and I'm soaking wet, and I got blood running down my arm. And I didn't even say anything to him. I just kept walking. I bet you he was like, what the hell happened to him? So,
he's probably like rando nuts.
Yeah.
Shaking his head.
So that was my randonauting experience.
Wow.
It was not.
So it was a dud.
It was a dud. But I keep reading that these people are having amazing things happen. So
we should try it together.
We should. I was in a crappy mood.
Like maybe next time we record, maybe not when Jamie's here, unless Jamie wants to come with us.
Yeah.
We could do somewhere afterwards.
Yeah. So I was in a crappy mood that day, so maybe that didn't help. So I wanted to get out and try it again, but I just haven't had time. I've been busy and I've been playing that video game, so I haven't had time to go.
I watched the links to YouTube that you sent me, and the impression I got from that guy, he's over in Europe somewhere, is that he kind of ended up grasping at straws too. Like he found a plant near a trail that
but
he's
at the
been
end,
on
if you
all
watch
the
that
time.
video at the end, he talks about how it kind of changed. It was like kind of a interesting experience because it kind of changed
his
him.
perspective on everything.
Changed his perspective. So I think that's what it's about. Maybe is changing your perspective and making you see things you wouldn't have seen before. So I will try it again, and we'll see what happens next time. I'd be curious to try it. Yeah. But it's frustrating when it takes you like all the time to some farmer's field, and I'm not gonna.
Weird things happen when we're together, so maybe
they do.
Something weird would happen.
They do. They said you and I are like a paranormal magnet. or something.
All right.
So yeah, do we have any other housekeeping?
I don't think so. If we do, I can't remember.
I can't either. I'll remember it on the drive home.
Yep. We're great at this.
And now for the taste test, because we knew that one of the things we were going to be trying was nasty because we saw it last time.
Yay.
We have 2 different kinds of chips we're going to be trying. I went and got a good kind of chip, I think, for us to try.
Air quotes, good.
It should be good. And this other one is gross. I believe this other one...
Can we start with the gross one?
Yeah, we're going to start with the gross one. I believe this was from Melissa.
The Japanese stuff.
So you want to tell them what we're going to be trying?
Sure. They're called shrimp snacks. They're cheese flavored. I'm not sure what cheese flavored means.
It looks like pork rinds.
Yeah, pork rinds is 100% what I was thinking of. They also come in original, onion and garlic, barbecue, sour cream, and onion, and we have the cheese flavor. I'm just looking at the list to see if there's actually any cheese in here. And
I think there's shrimp in there.
Cheese powder.
Cheese powder.
Tapioca flour is the first ingredient. Shrimp is the second. Yeah, they totally look like pork rinds, flat but slightly curved.
I mean, I like shrimp, so maybe
what
it won't
be
be
funny
bad.
is that these are delicious.
Yeah, I like shrimp. I
love shrimp too.
But we don't have a really good track record with fishy items on the taste test.
No, we don't. Okay, you ready? This should be relatively easy for me to open.
Yeah, it should be. As she spills them all over the table.
Oh my God, I'm gonna smell. They don't smell shrimpy.
Okay,
so I will give them that. I'm gonna grab 2. They look like styrofoam packing material. I'm hoping they taste slightly better than that. Not that I've ever tasted styrofoam.
No, they don't smell shrimpy at all. They actually smell kind of good.
Gonna zoom in and get a photo.
Maybe there's not a lot of shrimp.
It's the second ingredient.
Okay.
But I feel like we'd smell it. What are they? They just smell like a chip.
Yeah.
Almost like a Funyun. They also sort of, you know what I mean?
It does. It has an oniony, Funyun-y
It totally
smell.
smells like a Funyun. That's what I'm going with. Maybe if I think Funyun, they won't taste gross. Okay, are you ready?
That's a good idea. Ready?
Let's do this.
They're not bad.
I think they taste like Funyuns.
I don't taste any shrimp.
No shrimp at all. For being the second ingredient, they're very lacking in shrimp.
These are actually really good.
Yeah, they taste like Funyuns, but not quite as oniony.
They're not really seasoned strongly. Okay, well, they're good.
I think they're good. All right.
What do you give it?
Surprising. I think just because lack of shrimp and they're touted as being shrimp flavor.
Oh, I just
or
got
shrimp snacks.
That one had.
That one did too. Yeah. The aftertaste is hitting me now.
Yeah. Okay. That's gonna.
It's got a shrimp aftertaste.
That is gonna change my rating.
It snuck up on me.
It was good when we were eating it, but
when it settles and mixes with your saliva, it's not pleasant.
No. Wow.
Oh.
That was a complete 180.
Weird shrimp aftertaste.
Oh, that was a complete 180 on that.
I'm gonna give it like a 4 because I feel like on the front end they're really good, but on the back end there's no cheese flavor. Number one,
no,
and the shrimp flavor.
Oh, the aftertaste.
Even though they're shrimp flavor, I didn't want them to taste like shrimp. That was confusing. I'm giving it a 4.
I was gonna give it an 8, and I've dropped that down to 5.
Yeah, we need to wash these down with some other chips.
Yeah,
and maybe some of the fudge stuff that's left over from last week.
That's not good.
Or was it the week before? No, that's terrible. Wow. I don't think anybody should take those home.
That was a complete blindside because I thought they were good.
Those are going in the garbage.
Yes, they are.
Bleh.
Okay, we'll get...
Yeah, no good.
Here is the chip that I brought.
Okay. I'm excited. Are these like one of the Lay's special flavors or something? Or are we tasting vitamins too?
No.
He just pulled some alive men's
vitamins
out of his bag.
I have my CBD oil gummy in there, so I was going to take it.
Gotcha.
Here you go. This is the good one.
Oh, it's in a bag. You got it at Festival.
No, I didn't.
Okay, he didn't get it at Festival.
I got it at Quick Trip.
Oh, Quick Trip.
Rhonda has tried these, and Rhonda loves them.
Oh, I remember. Did somebody post these?
Rhonda posted them on her Facebook.
These are Glazer's potato chips. So they have a picture of glazed donuts on the front.
Because Quick Trip's Glazer donuts. The glazed donuts are really good. So they have a special limited edition Glazer flavored potato chip. Oh my
God, combining donuts and potato chips.
I know.
It's brilliant. And also terrible.
Shrimp and chips are not brilliant.
I mean, unless you're going to like a seafood joint, you're getting fried shrimp with a side of French fries.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, I bought these when we went geocaching last week, and I didn't eat them.
Oh, they smell like sweet and salty. Ooh, they smell good. Okay, I'm taking a few.
Okay.
Like that many.
And you're taking the rest of these home because I am on a diet.
My husband will devour these.
I am
no doubt
hardcore on a diet. Oh, they smell good.
Yeah, they do smell really good.
I know that Rhonda that we've had on the show a couple episodes loves these chips.
Okay. Well, if Rondaroo loves them,
yep.
I feel like I'm going to love them.
I mean, I love glazed donuts. I love potato chips. You can't go wrong.
All right.
But on the other hand, I love shrimp and I love crackers, so you can go wrong.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's do this.
Oh, my gosh. That's really good.
Oh, my God. They really taste like a glazed donut, but they're also like salty. Oh, my God.
Those are really good.
It's like if somebody made like a paper thin crunchy donut. That's what they taste like. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm eating all of these that I took right now.
I'm not. I want to, but I can't. I weighed myself the other day, and I am officially the heaviest I've ever been. So it is diet time. Take those home.
So people, start sending us healthy snacks.
Yeah.
But these are amazing.
What do you think? Out of 10?
11.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I'm going to give them a 9.
I love crunchy. I love salty. I love sweet. And this is such a perfect combination of all those things. Okay.
I'm giving it a 9 and not a 10 just because I feel like the glaze flavoring is a little bit artificial. Like it's a little fake-ish.
But glaze is just sugar and...
Yeah. But I just feel like it's got like a weird kind of artificial taste. They're still delicious.
I hear you.
They're still delicious.
I'll give you that.
I'm going to have a couple more.
Still giving them 11. Okay. Focus.
Those are really good.
Yeah. Whew. All right. And on a high note, I'm going to close them up.
You're going to take them home?
Then we won't be tempted anymore. Yes.
Here, take these home too.
No, throw those out. I should make my husband try it and be like, oh my God, they're so good. He'll be like, I thought you loved me.
I think we should just leave the nasty stuff out, like in the gym area for the kids when they come to work out. They can try them.
Get really smelly.
Yeah, those are good.
So are we gonna? Words. Use your words. What are we starting with here? Are we starting with an intro to what this is about? Are we going to talk about the winner at the end?
We'll talk about the winner at the end. We had our contest where somebody that submitted a voice clip or an email saying, either telling us a paranormal story or saying happy 50th, you guys, and whatever. Those people are in an app on my phone where I will draw one random name, and that person will win a $50 gift card, a signed copy of our show notes
of choice,
and some stickers.
I just want to say, when we recorded 2 weeks ago, we literally had one story. And we put out a call for help.
We were like, oh, my God. But then
you guys really came through.
Yeah, in the last couple of days, we got a lot of them.
Tons of stories.
And what I will probably keep our listener story episode idea, but I kind of feel like we should just have people, if they have an experience, just tell us, and we'll put it in.
We'll insert it into every episode.
An episode. Like if something happens and you guys want to tell us,
that would be really cool to have a part at the end where we're like, here's this week's listener story. Yeah,
listener story or listener email or something like that. So maybe we'll do that every episode. So now you guys don't have to wait an entire season when we do a listener story. So you guys can send us whatever you want anytime.
Sweet.
Yep.
See, we're always evolving. Continuous improvement.
We are.
CI. That's what we call it.
CI?
Yeah, that's what we call it at work. It's called CI, continuous improvement.
We are big with CI here on the Strange Sessions. But tonight's topic is just going to be listener stories.
Yeah. Which I love. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah. And, we'll just read some of the nice emails we got.
Listen to some voicemails.
Being our 50th episode,
Still can't believe it.
We don't blow our own horn a lot, but tonight we're blowing ourselves.
We're doing it. Yeah, we're blowing it. We're what?
We're blowing ourselves. Blowing our own horn.
Okay.
So...
Alrighty then.
Anyway.
Tomorrow's your birthday. You can say what you want.
Exactly. Thank you.
You can blow yourself if you go like it.
No comment. We'll
Are we going to have to mark this explicit
We'll
now?
save that for the Strange Sessions After Dark episode.
Oh, I like it. That'll be our Patreon content.
I do want to start our episode with the most frightening ghost story that we have ever received on the show.
Oh my God. I know what you're going to... It's terrifying.
It was sent in by Jason Rodriguez, and he sent us the following story.
Be prepared. This is going to give you the chills.
I saw a ghost, the end.
I mean,
so that's just,
that is some groundbreaking stuff right there.
I called Zach Baggins. He got possessed over the phone, so 100%. You know that it's
it's legit.
Yeah, so
it's too legit to quit.
So, thanks for the intriguing story, Jason.
Yeah, that one I might not sleep tonight.
I did enter him into the contest. Hey. His name is in the app, so because he did send something. He did. I might not sleep.
Technically,
tonight.
It was a ghost story.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yes, good stuff.
And I want to read an email we got from our longtime fan, Jeremy. I think it's Jeremy Reiter, Riter.
Oh, not Ritter.
I know, because I think I've called him
in
Jeremy
my head,
Ritter. But
I always say Ritter.
I know, so do I, but I think it's Reiter. Let us know, Jeremy.
Did anybody say they wanted to remain anonymous?
That's the thing I was going to say is that for the rest, I'm just going to do first names.
Okay,
because
good.
I think some people don't want...
I know one person said we could use their real name is not the name they use on our website
and
or
a couple
on our
people
strangers.
have done that. So we're just going to use like their first name that they're known by in the strangers.
Yep.
If you do want us to ever know if you do ever want us to say your full name, let us know. Yeah. But some people get kind of about that.
Right. You know. I don't even use my real name on the strangers.
No, you don't.
So my first name. My name is actually Krista.
It is.
My last name is not Doe.
We think it's Krista.
That you know of.
I am doing some research. I got my people out investigating.
Okay. You have people?
I don't have people.
Could they be like an intern?
Could we?
Do you have an intern?
I don't have an intern.
Okay.
So this was sent in from a Jeremy. He sent in, Kurt and Krista, congrats on 50 episodes of the podcast. That is a very big achievement, and it is a testament to the quality of the show. Aww. I came across the podcast after reading a suggestion on Reddit. Little did I know I was going to join a community of great people. The strangers are the only group of people on Facebook who never fight or argue about anything. It's refreshing and wonderful. You guys do a great job of making the listener feel like they are a part of the show. This podcast has a real small-town feel, which I thought is cool. I thought it's cool he said that because we kind of do.
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm in the room with two lifelong friends when I'm listening to the podcast.
Aww.
That's strange considering we've never met, but it speaks to how great you guys are at drawing in the listener. Keep up the great work. Can't wait to see what topics are coming up. Sincerely, Stranger for Life, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
An amazingly sweet email, so thank you so much, Jeremy.
His sentiment kind of reminds me of, it's a meme, whatever, that people post where it's a person sitting next to a poster of a group of people all hanging out and laughing, and they're like, this is what it feels like to listen to the Strange Sessions.
And we get that a lot. We hear a lot from people that it's more like...
They feel like they're involved.
They're involved in that they're listening. Like a couple people have said they feel like they're in the back seat listening to two of their friends talk in the front seat.
Well, I think we make a real effort to mention people that make comments and that listen to the show because we wouldn't be here without you guys.
No, exactly. And I think a lot of podcasts, or a lot of the bigger podcasts have they've
forgotten their listeners.
It's them and the fans. Where us, I feel like it's all of us. I feel like it's a group thing. We're a
team.
Yeah, I feel like it's a group thing. So thank you so much, Jeremy. That meant the world to us. Thank you.
I've got one from Donald Rose.
Sure.
It was something he sent us on Facebook. And I think it must have been like the day, because he's a new stranger. Was he listed in your group today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
He said, you guys are the best. I absolutely love the 411 episodes. I have not stopped listening since I found you guys on my iPhone. And we, of course, responded, thanking him. And he said, I'm listening to you guys right now. I'm on episode 9. You make my long work days so much better. Thank you.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yes.
Thank
and
you
you're
so
welcome.
much.
Yeah. And then just real quick, when we posted, I copied kind of your post on Facebook asking for stories, and I put it on Instagram. And AC Forever is one of our followers, and she just said, congratulations, you guys. So I'm assuming she is a listener.
Well, thank you.
But I just wanted to mention her because when people reach out to say congratulations, I just think that's really nice, and we really appreciate that. So
it is. Thank you so much.
All right.
Should we do a sound clip?
Yeah, let's do a sound clip. Let's see. Let me open up my handy-dandy folder here. Who should we start with? Should we start with
one of Devin's? Because
Devin?
Dude, the Hat Man.
Oh, the Hat Man.
Because we had... Rhonda Zahn has been on the show
and
a couple times, and Mark, and Brittany sent us a story about, I think it was the Hat Man for our other listener episode.
Yeah.
So
and this is their daughter, Brittany, and now her brother, Devin.
Yeah, this is their son, Devin, talking about his encounter with the Hat Man.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Devin Zahn, and I'm going to share my story with you today. This is the story of my old house in Manitowoc, my first house, actually, where I've experienced the Hat Man, or Shadow Man, or whatever you call him, on several occasions. Well, the first time being the most prominent, I was in my room, probably 6 or 7 years old, just reading a book, or looking, more or less looking at pictures in a book on my bed. And in my house, it was set up where my bedroom, you walk out, immediately turn to the left, you're in the bathroom. So, I mean, it's right there next to my room. But anyways, I remember looking up from my bed and looking to the right towards my door, towards the hallway. And it's clear as day, literally 5 feet from me, the Hat Man walked out of the bathroom and just stood in my doorway looking at me. My parents still don't believe me. They're ghost hunters themselves. They're full believers. They're not skeptics at all. They still don't believe me to this day. But it's something I remember and will always remember, even at such a young age. As a description, he was probably 7-8 feet tall and completely black, like a silhouette, but in physical form, in physical 3D form. He wore a long black trench coat, obviously black trench coat, and very tall top hat. Didn't have a face, didn't have eyes, but I could feel him looking at me. Now, I don't know how I got out of the room, but all I remember is being in my sister's room screaming. I was awake the entire time. I wasn't asleep. I remember this clear as day. I remember running into a room, but I don't remember getting past the guy. But that's not the only time I ran into him. Me and my sister Brittany, who's also been on the show, been mentioned a couple of times, have seen him at the same time. We were both eating dinner in our kitchen, our dining room, where we actually had a clear view of our parents' room, our parents' window. And that's where we saw it. I don't know why we both looked over at the window at the same time, but when we did, we saw the Hat Man walk right past the window, shoulder height. You could see the top hat. You could see it was a black silhouette. It was the Hat Man. Now, that wouldn't be so scary on its own. I mean, of course, it would be scary on its own. The part that made it more scary for us is that window sits a solid 8-9 feet off the ground. So that would put this Hat Man's height at least 10 feet. So that's my two experiences from the house. There is a third one that isn't as scary. I mean, it's mostly sounds. But that one, we were actually moving out of the house at that point. All our furniture had been out, and I don't know why I had stopped there that night, but I did, with my girlfriend at the time. And she was in the bathroom, and I was sitting at the same spot in the kitchen. And I remember looking over at my parents' room again, at the closet right next to that window, and it was closed. But when the time had come for us to leave, I had done a final sweep of the house to make sure all the lights had been off and everything. And when I had gotten back to my parents' room, the closet door was open. And it's an older door, so you would definitely hear it open, but it was just ajar. But come to realize, as we got back in the car, I had forgotten to turn off the main light in the living room. So my girlfriend at the time, knowing the experience I had just experienced, had sent me in alone, of course. So I got in, went to the light switch, and turned it off. Pitch dark in the house now. And I had reached the front door again, and all of a sudden I hear a loud door creaking from somewhere inside the house. Never found out which door it was, never cared to find out. I was out of there within seconds. But those are my 3 experiences from the house. Hope you enjoyed them. I'm out.
Okay. That, for some reason, the creaking door thing creeped me out more than anything else.
Really?
Not that seeing the Hat Man wouldn't totally terrify me, but just the idea that he went back into a house that was completely empty, shut off the light, and as he was leaving, heard a door creaking.
I think that ties in with like how Paranormal Activity and a place ramps up when they're doing work on the place.
And this is really recent. They just moved out in the last year or two.
Packing up and moving, I feel like that increases the energy of whatever's there because you're making changes in
I think Mark's done work in the house over the years. I remember him refinishing some floors. So I've known you guys for I just figured this out because we've always tried to figure out how long we've known each other. My husband and I will be celebrating our 12-year wedding anniversary, and you guys were at my wedding.
Yeah.
So I knew you before our wedding. So it's safe to say I've known you guys for like 13 plus years.
I think 13 years.
So I've known Devin and Brittany that long too, and I remember when, I hope this doesn't embarrass Devin, but I remember when I first started getting to know you guys, I remember Mark and Rhonda saying that Devin slept on the floor in their bedroom. Yeah. Because he would not sleep upstairs in his room. And now I understand why.
Yep.
That I wouldn't want to sleep up there either. So, yeah, interesting.
I mean, that's a lot like my green thing, the green guy I saw in my bedroom when I was a kid. I know that I saw that. I know that it wasn't a dream.
You weren't dreaming.
You know, so I totally get where Devin's coming from, that he saw this thing, and when people don't believe him, it sucks because...
I wonder why they don't believe him.
I don't know.
Because I know Rhonda has had experiences in that house, too.
I mean, we've talked about the Hat Man in another episode, and I think it's just so fascinating that so many people see this specific...
Right, wearing a top
shadow
hat.
person. I mean, it's obviously a shadow person. From most of the accounts, it's a shadow person, where it's just the silhouette.
That's creepy.
But it's fascinating to me that there's a specific one, you know? So, so thank you so much, Devin.
Thanks, Devin.
I loved hearing it from both Devin and Brittany. I liked hearing their experiences with that.
Yeah, and I think Brittany actually she gave us a recording of it, right? It was in her own voice.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty cool. You've now heard from the entire Zahn family on this episode.
That's pretty cool.
On this podcast.
That's pretty cool. We have another story from Devin for later, too.
Okay. We'll do that one later.
Yep.
So what do you want to do next?
I'm just going to read a quick story we got from one of our strangers.
Okay.
This is from one of our new strangers, Ray. He says, this is going to kind of be a copy and paste because I already posted the same story on Reddit under the username FilterHat. It only got 11 upvotes, though, so ... I still don't really understand the upvote stuff. I think that's a like. I think that's like a Facebook like.
Okay.
I don't know.
I go to Reddit once in a while to read stuff, but I don't know how it works.
So Ray sent in, I was chilling in a hotel room in Manila, just spaced out and facing the window, kind of meditating. Then out of nowhere, I see a human-sized thing fall past said window. I'm like, holy crap, I just saw someone kill themselves. Eventually, morbid curiosity led me to stand up and walk slowly towards the window, heart pounding on what atrocity I might see when I look down. I open the window and stick my head out, forcing myself to look, bracing for the worst. Nothing. Cars were still honking in traffic, sidewalks were bustling, no ambulance, and no police. Everything was normal. To this day, I have no clue what happened. If any of you are curious, I was staying at the Holiday Inn Galleria, which is a pretty old hotel. After checking online for past suicides in that area, there were two that came up. One that possibly occurred about a block away in the 2000s, and one in the mall attached to the hotel, which happened in 2012. Congrats on your 50th episode, by the way. Best regards, Ray.
Thank you, Ray.
And I think that's fascinating, too. Like, the thought, I don't know what I would feel in that.
Human size.
When dropping past the window. Wow. And there was nothing.
Yeah, I can actually feel... I can imagine what that would feel like, not wanting to get up and go look, but feeling like you have to go look and your heart pounding.
Yeah, you
like,
have to.
Am I going to find like a twisted body laying on the ground below? That's really creepy. Thank God he didn't find anything. Yeah. Because that would have been way worse.
But, I mean, what was it?
I don't know. I mean, if it were like garbage or something, I don't know. It would be there on the ground. I don't know.
Or you would see it still floating around, flying around, and the garbage I don't think would fly up that high. I
don't know how it could be a shadow, although I suppose... That's possible.
It is possible somebody undocumented killed themselves, and this is just like an energy. It's just like the replaying of them killing themselves, which is a horrible idea.
This is going to sound super far-fetched, but like a plane flying overhead, casting kind of like a weird shadow that moved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just grasping at straws here.
Yeah.
You know us. We try to
rationalize.
Find explanations first, but
yeah.
That's interesting.
It is interesting. I think it's creepy, too. There's something about
Super
that.
Creepy.
There's something about that freaks me out. I don't know what it is. And next, we have a sweet voicemail left on our Strange Sessions hotline from Bridget, one of our beloved listeners.
And fellow podcaster.
Yep.
Check out her podcast, My Best Vintage Life.
Yep.
Very fun. Okay. Ready?
It is, because I am not like a vintage
Yeah, me
person.
neither.
Like, I don't go out, but
She makes it fun, though, and
she
informative.
does. Like, I enjoy listening to the podcast.
Totally.
And it makes me kind of wish I did that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm into retro stuff.
Me too.
But I don't think that's the same as vintage. You know, vintage is more...
She could answer that question.
Yeah, she can.
us.
I think vintage is more authentic.
Yeah, I think vintage is like a specific thing. It's
Yeah.
something that is quantified or, you know, you can measure, whatever.
Yep.
I'm not saying it. Use your words, Krista. Retro to me is just like, I mean, I don't know. When I think of retro, I think like 1950s. You know what I mean?
See, I think of 80s and 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I think that's the thing. Retro can mean something different to everyone.
Yeah.
But I think vintage
is tied to a specific... Well, no, because vintage...
But there's vintage 90s stuff.
Yeah.
There's vintage 80s stuff.
Bridget, call us back and let us know
confused.
about this.
Clearly, we don't know what we're talking about.
But this is the sweet message we got from Bridget.
Hi, Kurt. Hi, Krista. It's Bridget. Happy 50th anniversary to you. From one podcaster to another. That's my song. Anyways, happy 50th episode, guys. I almost said 50th anniversary. Oh my God, that would be terrible. Thank you so much for creating such a great podcast, and thanks for being my virtual friends. Is that what you would say? I don't know. Just thanks for being my friends in general. You guys are great. Congratulations on 50 episodes. And I'm hoping for 50 more and 50 more after that. I don't really have any listener story to share with you, and I'm glad. I'm knocking on wood. You hear that? Knocking on wood. But I do have some episode suggestions, or at least one. I think it would be cool if you guys covered the Somerton Man from Australia. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that case, but it's pretty cool. It's definitely strange. So anyways, that's just my suggestion because I don't really have anything to share, and I hope to keep it that way. So thanks, guys, for everything, and congratulations. Bye.
Aw, thanks, Bridget.
Thank you, Bridget. Loved your little song.
So sweet. Yeah, is that our only song? I'm betting that's the only song we got.
I think that is the only... Well, we got Jamie's...
Jamie did provide the little harmonica intro for today.
The little intro we played at the beginning of the episode was sent in by Jamie, who sat in on our Area 51 episode and who created our awesome theme music.
Yes.
So thank you for that, Jamie.
We hope we didn't confuse anyone with that.
We figure people are probably like, just stop listening
right
and like try downloading it again. So thank you so much for that, Jamie.
Yeah.
And thank you, Bridget.
And thank you for the suggestion. I have never heard of this case. Had you?
Yeah.
What is it?
The Somerton Man?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've also heard it called something else, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But it was basically this dead guy they found that they didn't know where he was from, and he had like a piece of paper in his pocket.
Was he on the beach?
Yes.
Okay, I do remember that. Just like in a suit?
Yep.
Like propped up on the beach? Okay. Yes, I remember that. Well, thank you, Bridget. It was very sweet of you.
That is going to be an episode because I'm fascinated by that, and I was currently trying to figure out if we should do that as part of a My Favorite Mini Mystery or if that would be enough to carry a whole episode.
You'll have to do some preliminary research.
Yeah, but that is going to be an episode because I'm fascinated with that whole story too.
Very cool.
Thank you so much, Bridget.
Yeah, thank you.
And she almost said happy 50th anniversary, so thank you.
It works. It's the anniversary of our...
It is an anniversary of the podcast. So thank you, Bridget. And now we have another listener story that was sent to us, and this one was by Stranger Jen. She said, "Hey, strangers. I normally don't write in for these types of things because I feel like my story is never good enough, but you guys are always super awesome, so I thought I would share my story."
Jen.
Thank you.
You're good enough.
You are good enough.
And so is your story.
Yes.
I haven't even heard it yet.
Back in 2012, 2013, I can't remember the year, I was working for Walt Disney World as an attractions cast member at Splash Mountain. We always talked about the ghost at Splash and pirates as cast members. And I hear this, that there's a lot of people that think that some of these attractions have ghosts. But you never really thought much of it. The ghosts were said to have been people who died. I used air quotes because you can't actually pronounce people dead in the parks. That I knew. that if you die,
well, that would be bad for business.
you cannot pronounce somebody. You can drag them out to the parking lot, and now they're dead.
Oh my God.
You know.
That's slightly horrifying.
Yeah. The ghosts were said to be the ghosts were said to have been people who died. I used air quotes here because you can't actually pronounce people dead in the parks at the attraction, usually for not following the safety guidelines. And then she puts in big letters, "Stay in your ride vehicle, people." Anyways, I was working in one of the positions where you monitor the ride and make sure people are staying seated, not touching things, nothing's going wrong, etc. While I was in there, one of the ride triggers went off and the camera for that section popped up on the monitor. The, quote, person was on the left side of the ride flume, and I watched a man who was just a shadow. I could see a full body outline, but no distinct eye features or clothing features. Step halfway out of the shadowed part of the ride, and then quickly step back out from view. We sent the runner, like we are trained, to make sure everything was fine, since people on the ride path happens, which it does. You're not supposed to do that. And they couldn't find anyone, nor did they run into anyone on the way to or the way from. I didn't think anything of it at the time and brushed it off as maintenance going through a wrong door and not telling us, which also happens. Flash forward a few days later, we had downtime at the attraction that required us to reset it. In order to do this, we have to go out into the ride at certain sections and physically push the area's reset buttons. Curious as to how the, quote, maintenance man was able to get in and out of view so quickly, I volunteered to go to drop 3, where I saw them on the camera. Excited to figure it out and to get the ride running again because people get antsy, I hurried off to my area to wait for the reset. When I got there, I looked across the ride to where I had seen them and realized very quickly that there was no way for someone to have been there, let alone for them to have left so quickly. Aside from the fact that there isn't a ton of room on that side, the exit I saw him leave from is a straight drop down with no ladders or door access. The only way a person could have been able to enter or exit is from a door maybe 10 feet in the other direction that would have set off multiple cameras as he passed through them, and the runner would have had to pass them as well. Needless to say, I was instantly freaked out despite my deep love for spooky paranormal things. As soon as I could leave that position, I bailed and never requested that section of the ride again. Thank you guys for reading/listening to my experience. I love the podcast so much, and I am so thankful for the Strangers group.
Aww.
Happy 50 episodes, and stay strange.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you so much, Jen. And that's like another kind of shadow person.
Yeah.
I feel.
Well, totally. And
Yeah.
that's the first thing that my mind went to, is that if they're going to go through all the trouble of having this sophisticated camera and security system,
Yeah.
the cameras aren't only going to show a shadow person. It's not the camera.
Yeah.
The fact that she saw a shadow person,
Yeah.
to me, is really compelling. Because
Yeah.
I think if it were a real person, you'd see features.
Yep.
Because why would you have a camera if you couldn't see features?
Yeah.
If that makes
And that story
any
was
sense.
perfectly good enough. It was great.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by the idea of ghosts on theme park rides. I think that's really interesting. You know, is it possible that this was somebody that just genuinely loved that ride, that died and wanted to be there?
Their afterlife is continually riding that thing.
Possibly.
Over and over
I
again.
mean,
It seemed like they were very much just going about their business.
yeah.
Not
Yeah.
standing there looking at you or whatever.
Yeah.
They had just gotten off the ride and now they're,
Yep.
going to
So
go
I think
get
that's-
back in line.
I think that's totally fascinating. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Jen.
Yeah, thanks, Jen.
So now let's do a voicemail from Dash.
Okay.
Hey, Kurt. Hey, Krista. It's Dash. I just wanted to say congratulations on 50 episodes. And 3 minutes isn't a whole lot of time to tell you guys a story. But I can give you a little bit of a story, and I think I've already told Kurt the whole story, so maybe he can elaborate on it after I tell it. But our basement in St. Peters, Missouri, in the house we bought last year, is fairly active with some kind of haunting or vortex or something. And one night when I was in the kitchen with my wife, Jessie, we heard a thudding in the basement. And when I walked over to the door to look down the stairs, I saw the shadow of a pair of legs running across the basement. The shadow was stretched out down towards the stairway, as if whatever it was on the far end of the basement, just like jogging across the room. And so after that, we went and cleansed the basement, burning sage and throwing salt and all that crazy stuff. And it did not seem to work. We are constantly having interactions with something in the basement, moving things, making loud noises. and sometimes it even ventures up into our kitchen. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great show, and congrats again. Stay strange.
I love it.
I do. Thank you so much, Dash.
Thanks, Dash. So he's shared some of this in the Strangers.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He's talked about it in Strangers. Him and I have talked about it, and it sounds like his place there is like crazy active. Like stuff happens there a lot.
And his
this
kids
was kind
react
of
to stuff. Was he the one who his son keeps is it his son?
I believe
keeps
so.
Waking
Yeah.
up in the middle of the night and is crying and saying there's a monster in his room.
I believe so.
I could be thinking of another story, but I thought that was him. But
But
yeah,
this
that's
was
really
kind of like
scary.
another shadow, like a
another
partial shadow person. So I would actually love for you and I to get down there and check that out, because I really think from the stuff that he's told me that there's a lot of activity at that place.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot happens there. So I totally
Road
believe
trip.
that. Yeah, definitely a road trip.
I don't want to stir anything up though.
No, but we could also see some of these Missouri places that we talked about in
we could.
in the last episode.
That'd be really fun.
So thank you. So I don't really have much to elaborate on because he told me that, and he's told me a couple other things, but I'll save that for if he has an update on stuff. Like I kind of want him to keep us updated on what's going on with the voicemails and stuff like that.
Definitely.
But he's shared a lot with me, and it sounds like that's pretty crazy active at his place. So
I don't think I could do it. I'd have to move. I'm sorry. As much as I'm really into this and I seek this out, I don't want to live in a house that has activity. Never.
I did, and
Never,
it wasn't
ever.
that bad.
Eh. I wouldn't sleep. I would never want to be alone. I couldn't handle it.
I don't know. I don't know why the apartment stuff didn't bother me more than it did.
Yeah,
it
because
really
it was
didn't.
creepy as all get out.
Because I felt like there was nothing threatening there, but I've been told that I'm too, not naive, but too accepting that everything is good. And
Yeah.
So I don't know, but
Okay.
I think his place is active. I really do from the stuff
Obviously.
that he's told me. So thank you so much, Dash.
Yeah, thanks, Dash.
And now we are going to read another story. This one was sent to us by stranger Carly, and she sent in, "Hi guys, I hope this isn't too late for the 50th episode. It's not. You did good. Congrats on the podcast. Love your work.
Thank you.
Take what you want from these stories. You can tell them both or just one or none at all. Do what you like with them. It is a rambling email story. I have a couple of stories beside the saga of our family ghost, a little girl named Ace, who's been following us around for the last 40 or so years. Too long a story to tell, maybe another day. So good. I like knowing that we have something in the future
something
we
to
can
look
hear.
forward to.
This one is from 2010. I went on a ghost adventure with an old friend from school and the local little ghost group he used to hang out with. It was informal and word of mouth, although these guys were quite serious and had EVP equipment and the like. The lead guy was a medium called Marty, an unassuming guy, quiet and down to earth. We were at a huge park in my hometown of Brisbane, Australia. So cool.
Down under.
Yeah, I would love to visit Australia.
That'd be so cool.
That has had reports of supernatural activity for the last 100 or so years. We were in one particular tunnel where two young boys had a notorious haunting experience years earlier, and the photos we were taking were covered in orbs. Marty sensed that someone was there, so he stopped, and the other guys got their equipment out. He was standing there with his eyes closed, having a moment, and the rest of us kind of stood around and continued taking photos quietly. All of a sudden, one of the girls who had come along screamed and swore while holding her phone as far away from her as possible. She was terrified. We went and had a look, and she had taken a photo of Marty. Standing next to him was the ghostly figure of a woman in early 20th century clothes. It's creepy. It wasn't completely solid, but her boots, long dress, and hat were clearly visible. So I can't say that I've ever seen a ghost, but I've seen a ghost in a photo that had just been taken. And that's all that I need to know that ghosts, whatever they may be, are real.
Oh, man, I would love to see that photo.
Yeah. There's also the time I was getting strange phone calls, including a phone call from God.
Oh, you don't like phone calls,
No,
Kurt.
I don't. At the time, 2013, I was in a really bad place, emotionally, very introspective and disillusioned with the world. I felt like I was reaching a deeper place spiritually, but it wasn't pleasant. I was having quite dark thoughts about whether or not I wanted to live.
Aw.
Anyway, I know.
Well, I'm glad she's here to tell us the story.
Yeah, I totally feel for people in that situation.
Me too.
Because I was there and it sucks. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it was around this time that I started receiving strange phone calls. I was at my friend's place making jewelry with her daughter, who was about 7 or 8 at the time, on the lounge room floor. She was kind of sitting on my bag, and she said, "Carly, your phone is rumbling." She pulled it out and handed it to me, and it just said God with the phone number 77777 on the screen.
That's really weird because it wouldn't show up with a name unless you programmed it in there.
Yeah. I don't know enough about phone messages to know that, but if I got that, I'd
yeah,
be
but
like,
if somebody that's never called you before, their name doesn't come up. You have to add them as a contact in your phone.
yeah. And the phone was not audibly ringing, even though my phone definitely was not on silent. That's strange.
Yeah.
I answered it and no one was there. When I looked at the screen again, the call had ended. This call didn't show up in my call log. A couple of times after that, I had missed calls on my phone's home screen from the phone number 77777, and they never showed up in the log. At this time, I was also noticing so many synchronicities. I didn't even know what it meant, had to Google it, and I learned that it is a thing. They were happening to me so often that I had to figure out what it meant. Since then, I've had to dumb myself down because living on this planet is sometimes too much, and I also don't want to die, so I've had to kind of become numb, so these things have stopped happening to me. And as an aside, I totally believe that.
What does she mean she doesn't want to die, though?
Well, she doesn't want to kill herself, but she doesn't want. She's just disenchanted with life, you know, and I get that way a lot, too.
I thought she meant the synchronicities.
No, I get that way a lot, too, is that it's just like, you know, why am I here? Why do I bother? And I feel like when you're in that kind of place, synchronicities either happen way more often to kind of show you that you're supposed to be there, or you completely block out synchronicities from happening. So I completely understand what she's saying, that because of the way she feels that sometimes the synchronicities stop. I'll talk about that again a little after I read her story.
Okay.
It happened again a while after that when I was in the car with my mom and aunt on the way to an Australian Indigenous Arts Center, and we were talking about my deceased grandma who was Indigenous. I grabbed my phone out of the bag to check it, and there was the 7777 again. It hasn't happened much since, though. I did take photos on my phone in the bedside table and have it saved somewhere on a hard drive, but it doesn't prove much to anyone but me. But I thought these details were cool if you wanted to add those in.
Is there any significance of the number 7 in relation to, like...
synchronicities?
Or God?
Probably. I mean,
religion?
7 is kind of a mystical number, but I also think like 3 is a mystical. I think a lot of numbers are kind of mystical numbers. So I don't know. I should really look that up. I kind of want to have an episode on synchronicities because I'm fascinated with synchronicities.
It is fascinating.
And then she said, P.S. I want to send you a taste test, but I have to think of something less obvious than a jar of Vegemite.
Okay, I've never had Vegemite.
I wrote her back and said, I've never had Vegemite either, so I would actually love to try Vegemite because...
Me too.
I only know it from that Men at Work song, the Vegemite sandwich. I mean, that's the only reason I know it, and I've always wanted to try it. So if you would like to send that, please feel free.
We would be honored.
We would
to
totally try it.
Yes.
She said, "I'll see what I can find." So thank you so much, Carly. I'm fascinated with synchronicities. I mean, I've talked about that on the podcast a lot. I have synchronicities happen with my 1111s, you know, and the 1111s seem to happen. I don't know how to explain it. The 1111s seem to happen in times where I feel like something big is happening, you know.
In your life or in the world?
In the world, in general, but like in a weird way that people don't realize. That sounds super crazy, but I feel like sometimes the world goes through changes that people don't realize. And I feel like when that happens is when I see these 1111 synchronicities, you know. And I know in the past I've kind of tied that in with the Mandela effect, and I know that sounds crazy.
No, I don't
but
think so.
I feel like, you know, like what year was it that the world was supposed to end?
2012.
2012. And as it got closer to that day in December where it was supposed to end, my synchronicities ramped up. And I have talked to a lot of people who are really big into this stuff, and they say that technically the world either was supposed to end or did end, and we got pushed off into like a parallel universe kind of thing.
Hence the Mandela
and I
effect.
feel like that was a very significant time where something was going on behind the scenes. I know that sounds crazy, but I feel like when something is going on like that, I feel like that's when I see my synchronicities.
Okay.
So I totally understand what she's talking about, where when she is going through some stuff, she sees this.
Well, hopefully... If anything, Carly, you feel a little less alone in that, knowing that other people have the same experiences. And I'm glad you're still here because we wouldn't have been able to hear your cool stories, and you wouldn't be part of our little community here. And we're just so happy to have you.
I don't know if I talked about it on here, but years and years ago, I was at a point where I was kind of planning on ending it. So I totally get where people are coming from with that, and I it's just such a dark place. So I'm happy you're not there anymore.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Kurt, too. I'd be talking to myself right now. Well, thank you, Carly, for sharing your story.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, giving us a little glimpse into your struggle.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carly. I'm fascinated with the phone stuff. You know, I've talked about it on here.
Creeps them out.
I don't know. I don't know where my phone. It's not that I don't like talking on phones, but there is something about
it. Yeah.
There's something about phones that bother me.
Okay, let's be honest. I've known you for, what did we say, 13 years. I think I've talked to you on the phone twice.
I talked to my brother Corey on the phone.
Yeah. I'm not big on phone either. I don't know. I guess I used to be before texting came around.
Yeah. No, it's like you, Miranda, Rhonda, like all my close friends know that if I'm calling them,
something is wrong.
Something is bad.
Exactly.
You know, like, yeah. So
did she mention this? And I hope I didn't just zone out for a second. Did she try calling the number back?
She didn't mention it. I don't think she did because
I would have tried calling the number back 100%.
I don't know, but I'm fascinated with this because it involves phones, which sketch me out in the first place, and it involves synchronicity, which I think is amazing. So I love this story. I really do.
It kind of sounds like she got the phone call she needed to get at that time.
It does.
Cool. Should we do another voicemail?
Yes. So speaking of, I just mentioned my brother Corey. We will do Corey's call. So this is from my awesome little brother Corey.
And potential intern. And
hopefully soon to be another guest co-host because he was with us in the John Teeter episode, and he did a great job. And I want him to come on with something that he's kind of super interested in. So we're talking about possible topics.
Nice.
So this is from my brother Corey.
Hey, Kurt and Krista, it's Corey. Just wanted to congratulate you guys on episode 50. You guys put a lot of work into it, a lot of effort. You guys should be proud of what you guys have accomplished. Just want to let you know, anytime you need me to come on, I'll come on. This time maybe I'll skip the bugs. Anyway, congratulations on 50, and here's to 50 more. All right, see you.
Isn't Corey the one who gave us
Corey's
the bugs?
the one that gave us the
We're
bugs.
Saving these bugs.
Corey, you come back on. You're trying to bug.
And thanks for saying all the work that we do. I do no work.
You do a lot of the technical stuff. I mean,
I cut and paste.
Whatever.
Kurt does all the research. He puts this whole thing together. I'm just moral support.
No, you are not just moral support. We are partners. This is our baby.
It's our baby.
This is our baby. And you do plenty of work.
Okay. I guess I'll take...
Copying and pasting ain't easy.
Yeah, right click, left click.
No, you do just as much work as I do. You really do.
I'll just nod.
I couldn't do this without you.
You'd be talking to yourself, so it'd be
I don't know I don't know what that little soundboard thing all is.
Just a bunch of knobs and dials and whatnot.
No,
cords.
you're just as important as me.
Well,
I will always agree to disagree on that.
Yes.
Because I don't think you give yourself enough credit.
I'm just saying Maura Murray.
The Maura Murray thing wasn't your fault.
Well, it sort of was, but that's okay. You're just a good friend.
Whatever.
Well, thank you, Corey, for the message.
Thank you, Corey.
And again, you're not getting out of eating these bugs.
No, you're going to try a bug. We tried a bug. You're going to try a bug.
At least one bug.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Corey.
Yes,
you'll be on again soon. Next, I will read another story. So this was a story that was sent in by Scott. I think we have an audio clip from him, too, that we'll play a little bit later.
Okay.
Scott writes, my sister and her 11-year-old daughter have been staying with me for the past few months. My niece overheard me listening to your show one day and fell in love with it.
Aww,
that's awesome.
Cute. I wonder how old she is.
I don't know. No, 11.
Oh, 11. Yeah. Oh, my God. You just said that.
I just had to do some math.
I don't.
It wasn't even math. I just had to remember. I had to do some. So was it? Sisters
Recall?
And niece? Yeah, like a family tree thing.
Wow. So you literally said his 11-year-old niece, and then I literally said, "How old is she?"
That's all right. It's early in the morning.
Hey, people fall asleep listening to us, so don't be surprised if I don't listen to you.
I was gonna say we can fall asleep talking.
Sure.
My niece overheard me listening to your show one day and fell in love with it. She wanted me to play some more episodes for her. I read off some show topics, and she picked Black-Eyed Kids. Creepy.
Fascinating topic.
I've known about the topic for a few years, but never gave it much thought. When we listened to that show, a couple of strange things happened the next day. I had the day off work and had to go pick up my niece from the bus stop. We live in the middle of nowhere. The bus stop is a few miles away. As I was driving down our little one-lane country road, I saw a young girl walking. She looked to be about 14 to 16 years old. I couldn't see what she looked like, though, because when she saw me coming, she ran up to a tree and hid by putting her face into the tree and covering it with her hands.
That's weird.
That's strangely creeps
me
out, too.
Who does that? Yeah.
I thought it was strange, but didn't think too much about it at the time. Later that same night, I had to run to town around midnight. It wasn't a school night, and my niece was up, so I asked her if she wanted to run to town with me. She did. On our way to town, I told her about the girl I saw at the tree, and she said, quote, do you think she was a black-eyed kid? I told her no, not to worry about that stuff. Just a few minutes later, as we're driving through a small, unincorporated town, we saw two boys, one 16 to 17 years old and one about 8 or 9 years old, walking alone on the highway. They were near some houses, and they probably weren't black-eyed kids, but to be honest, it kind of freaked me out. Thanks for the stories and for making life a little bit more fun.
I wonder if they had hooded sweatshirts on.
That sounds like, because they said a lot of times it's like a younger kid and an older kid. So, I mean, that sounds like textbook black-eyed kids. So that's super fascinating to me because I've never...
You should have pulled over and been like, hey, do you want to get in my car?
Oh, yeah. If you do that, let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
But, that, and the girl running to the tree, I mean, I can see a girl doing that, but that's just weird. There's something.
Why was she there alone?
I don't know. There's
weird.
There's something about that whole scenario that just gives me the heebie-jeebies, as you would
chills,
say.
Actually. Yeah, the heebie-jeebers.
Yeah, so no, thank you so much for those stories, and I don't know. The two kids sounds like...
It does.
It does. It sounds like black-eyed kids.
The first part of the story creeps me out more, though.
Yeah, the first part of the story is weird.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to see that.
No.
I don't know. So thank you so much, Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
Coming up next, we have... Let's do this story that was sent in by Anna.
Okay.
Dash and Jesse's daughter, who loves our show.
Really?
Little Anna Banana that we've talked about on the show. I think we gave her a shout-out, a special shout-out.
Anna Banana.
Yeah, she's adorable. And she sent in a story to our call line.
Oh, she did?
She did.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear this.
So this is from Anna.
Hi, this is Anna. Congratulations on your 50th episode. I have a story. Once we were at the park, I saw a little boy on the slide, but when I went over there, he wasn't there. So it was a rabbit from the park. I think it was a ghost. Bye.
Okay,
that is seriously the cutest story that we have ever gotten on the show.
I love it.
So that was adorable. Thank you
adorable.
so much, Anna.
Yes.
We just want to pick you up and hug you.
So what did she say? She said she saw a little boy on a slide.
And then she went over and he was gone.
And he was gone. And then she said, what did she say?
I think she said he couldn't have run. He couldn't have gone anywhere.
Okay.
So I remember Dash telling me about this.
Interesting.
That she saw a boy, then she went over and there was nobody there. So, I mean, a lot of that goes along with the theory that kids can see ghosts a lot easier than adults can. So I totally believe she saw that.
She might have seen something. And she's having experiences at home.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you and I need to go down there and check this place out. I really do.
Well, thank you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Anna. That was adorable.
I wonder if you're our littlest listener.
When we listen, Krista and I were both like, "Aw."
A tiny stranger.
Yeah.
I love it.
So thank you so much, Anna. You are the best.
Anna Banana.
Anna Banana. I don't even know if they call her that, but
that's what we're calling her.
In my head, I always call her Anna Banana. So thank you so much, Anna. And now, we're now going to read a story that was sent in by listener Brian. We'll say his last name, Brian Young, because we have a couple Brians that listen. So this was Brian. He sent us the stuff from Buffalo.
Am I his new moral support?
You are his new moral support. He wants a Krista moral support from afar. You should rent yourself out as moral support.
Like in a 900 number?
Not a 900 number.
Oh, okay.
That would be weird. So this is from Brian Young. Hey, strangers, here's my and he's a hardcore skeptic. So he wasn't going to send this in, but...
He's into Bigfoot, though, isn't he? Or recently into Bigfoot?
Did
I maybe get him into Bigfoot? I'm not sure.
Remember.
I know someone recently, and I thought it was him, was like, okay, I'm like going down the Bigfoot rabbit hole now. I think I'm kind of into it.
But he's very skeptical with the paranormal stuff.
Okay.
And I said
I could be thinking of someone else. I'm just skeptical, too.
Yeah.
I need to almost see it for myself.
So he sends in, here is my very own, quote, paranormal incident. But first, a bit of background. My grandfather died when I was only 15 months old. My mother actually went into labor with my brother at his funeral. Ever since I can remember, she would tell me stories about how he would visit her and how he was looking over me and my brother. Needless to say, I have no memory of my grandfather, only pictures. However, I have been told that I inherited much of his personality, especially his love of gambling, and that is where my story begins. One night when I was 26 years old, I was sound asleep in my apartment on a Friday night when around 4:00 a.m. I felt something on my bed. Startled, I woke up and there was my grandfather sitting on the end of my bed, just sitting there looking at me. I wasn't scared, more just confused. I said, "Grandpa?" And he smiled and said, You know you shouldn't worry so much. Just place the bet. I asked what bet, and he said, tomorrow, 5th race, be a blessing. Just place the bet. Then he got up, tapped me on the shoulder, and left. When I woke up the next morning, I called my mother and said, quote, I had the craziest dream last night. And she said, was it my father? He said he went to tell you something. I said, well, yeah, it was him. He told me to place a bet. She laughed and said, that's Dad. We hung up, and I made some coffee and opened the newspaper. Parentheses, yeah, I'm old. We had newspapers then, no internet. I remember. Just for a laugh, I went to the sports page, race page. Yes, the newspaper actually had a racing form in it. I lived quite close to a big track. Well, I looked up the 5th race, and there it was. Be a blessing, 18-1 odds. Now I was floored. Called my mother back and told her. She said, well, then go place the damn bet. I went to the track, went to the window to bet be a blessing to win in the 5th, and was told, sorry, be a blessing has been scratched. Krista's eyes just got really wide. Got home, told my mother, and all she said, well, he wasn't very lucky at the track. Now, let me be clear. I don't think this was a legit paranormal encounter. A, I probably saw the name in the paper sometime that week as I regularly looked at the form. B, in my subconscious, I associated horse betting with him. And C, my mother also being visited was nothing old. She said he visited often. So as a skeptic, I find nothing supernatural, but most people I tell the story to do. Plus, it is a fun story. Stay strange, Brian. I think that's a cool story.
I do.
I just think it's because you figure it's heading that he's going to win a ton of money, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, be a blessing
Race
is
didn't
out.
even happen.
Yeah, be a blessing is out.
Aww.
So I just think that's really a cool story, and I don't know.
You do hear so many stories about relatives who've passed visiting.
Yeah. But I love his theories about why it happened,
it's
because he saw the name in the paper, subconsciously and remembered it. So it's possible.
I see stuff like that trickle into my dreams too. Stuff I've seen during the day or heard during the day. So,
but I would be so mad if somebody came to me in a dream, told me what was going to win, and then it didn't win.
Money
and
down
I'm like,
on
seriously? There was just
Birds
a
doing
weird
some
bird
crazy
doing
stuff.
something right outside the window, like trying to.
Well,
it's like trying to get in the window.
Well, it heard we were here, and
it probably did.
It has a story. So is he? I might be getting people mixed up, but does he? He's really into like historic. Is he into Jack the Ripper?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
so he
he's
does
the one that
like
did with the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, and he does like. I think he does speaking events and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay.
We got to do a Jack the Ripper episode.
We definitely do.
But no, I love that story. I think it's so cool. I think it's funny that it was like, no, sorry, be a blessing has been scratched, not in the race anymore. So thank you so much for the story, Brian.
Yeah.
I don't know. Part of me thinks that he was visited by his grandpa, and grandpa didn't really have the
Even
right
if it
info.
were via a dream, it doesn't mean it didn't. It doesn't mean there wasn't something significant about it. Because I do think that we can be visited in our dreams.
Yep.
Interesting. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you so much, Brian. Now I have a story from Casey, but she also sent in a sound clip, so we'll do the story now.
I'm so excited about this story because I heard, and I mentioned this on the podcast before, I heard this story told on the Confessionals podcast, and I never listened to that show before. I just saw the title was called The Roof Walker.
Yeah, because Roof Walker
and I
shows
thought,
up in
well,
here.
that's creepy. And I just had the chills through the whole episode. She got very emotional several times. Yeah. I got emotional listening to it. And I remember after we talked about it on our podcast, she messaged us and said, hey, I just wanted you guys to know that was me. And she had already been a stranger, had already been listening to our show. And I think she was the one who also thanked us for talking about Sasquatch Chronicles because she ended up finding a lot of comfort in some of her experiences, knowing that other people had experienced them. Yes. So this is a really good story. I'm really excited that she's sharing it with the strangers.
So I didn't listen to her podcast because we got it, I think, last night. So I haven't had a chance to listen, or not her podcast,
the voicemail.
Her voicemail.
And that's a different story from what I understand, the voicemail.
So this is what she sent us. Hello, Kurt and Krista. I would have called this in, but it is longer than 3 minutes, so sending you an email detailing it is better. I've only shared this story once publicly, but after some thought decided to share it with you. If someone else has a similar experience, maybe telling mine will help them. I was born and raised in a border town to the south. In fact, my hometown was only 10 minutes from the border of Mexico. Being a southerner mixed with living on the border to Mexico, superstitious beliefs is part of how you are raised. I have always had paranormal encounters. That was common for me as Sunday family meals. Once I turned 18, I moved away. I wanted to explore and experience life beyond what I knew it to be. In early 1991, I moved back. I was a single mom expecting my second child. Since I had chosen to not start college right away, I returned home to attend college. My parents' home was out in the country, which is great on one hand, but it soon became too much. One night as I was studying for an exam, something hit the top of our roof. We lived in a double-wide trailer, so when it hit, it sounded like someone had dropped a very large boulder. I jumped up as my mom came running out of her room. We couldn't figure out what had just landed on the roof. As we were trying to figure this out, we heard footsteps. Up and down it walked the length of the roof. Yuck. Mm-hmm. I called the police. Once they arrived and checked the roof and all around the house, they couldn't find anything. The officer told us to call if it happened again. The next night, the same thing happened again. We heard something very large land on the roof, and then we heard the walking. I called the police. They came up but found nothing. This time they said they would stay there to see if whoever was doing this would come back. It didn't come back until the next night. This time the police brought out their canine unit. The canine officer no sooner got out of his car when we heard the walking on the roof. He takes his dog and runs towards the front side of the home. We heard the dog yelp out. Next thing we see the officer carrying the dog that was shaking. The officer looked at my mom and said, quote, "We can't help you. You need to call a priest, not us." Yeah, anytime you have a
Gives
cop
you the
tell you to call a
chills.
priest,
Yeah.
it ain't good. Night after night, without fail, right on cue, it would land on the roof and then walk up and down the roof all night long. When I would come in from classes, since I took them in the evening, I always felt like something was watching me. Sometimes the fear of something grabbing you would become so strong that you couldn't get inside fast enough. One night in particular, my daughter needed to go to the ER in the middle of the night. When we got back, I had locked the door behind me. As a habit, I turned the knob to make sure it was locked. As soon as I let go of the knob turned as if someone from the other side was checking the knob. We never knew when the roof walker was going to begin their nightly walk. We tried to make sure not to go out once I came in from classes. I was a few weeks shy of graduating when the worst night with a roof walker, or roof, I say roof. I'm trying not to say roof because everybody laughs at me when I say roof. I was a few weeks shy of graduating when the worst night with the roof walker took place. My second child was only a few months old at the time. She had fallen asleep in her bassinet that was in the living room. I didn't want to wake her by moving her from the room, so I decided to go lay down in my room until she woke up for her bottle. I hadn't been asleep for very long when I woke up to sounds of toys being played with. It sounded like someone was playing with a spin top and someone else was playing with one of those toys that make a whistle sound as you pull a stick out of the bottom. I can hear that in my head.
Totally.
I could hear my youngest laughing as if someone was playing with her.
That just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
My room was close to the back door. As I got to the back door, I could hear a puppy whining and sniffing along the bottom of the door. I figured someone had dropped the puppy off since a lot of people will do that out in the country. As I reached to open the door, as plain as day, I heard a female voice say, quote, "You don't want to see what's out there." I immediately felt like someone had poured a bucket of ice on me. I went to get my youngest and make her a bottle. As I was making the bottle, the same puppy sounds, whining and sniffing, were now at the window above the kitchen sink. Yuck. That's giving me the creeps.
I literally have the goosebumps right now.
There's no way any human or puppy could reach the bottom of that window with the ease that this thing was. I honestly don't know if I made her bottle correctly or not. All I wanted to do was get back to my bedroom where my oldest was asleep in her bed and pray. I didn't want to walk by the back door again, but I had to. As I got close to the door, I heard a howl, just like the howl you will hear in a movie from a werewolf. I pushed my oldest daughter's bed up against the bedroom door. All night long, I sat up in my bed with both of my babies. I prayed and prayed all night long. Daylight could not come fast enough. The walker was walking up and down the roof as I sat there huddled on my bed. Once I graduated, I was out of there. I did not want my children to experience this or anything like it. Since then, I make sure all of the curtains on my windows are closed before the sun goes down. I don't look out the windows at night. I do everything to avoid being out at night because the fear of that time is still with me. I have since learned that I have had a dogman experience. I don't know. All I know is that dogman or whatever it was definitely came from the belly of hell. That's the only way I know how to describe it. What it did during those months, the sounds, the fear it caused, etc. To this day, out of all my paranormal experiences, this one was by far the worst. It definitely left a permanent mark on my life. Thanks for putting out one of the best podcasts there is. Congratulations on your 50th episode. Here's to another 50 more. Thank you so much, Casey.
Yeah.
And that's not cool.
No. So, and I cannot stress enough, go listen to this podcast because
What was it called? What podcast?
The Confessionals.
The Confessionals.
Reading it and hearing it, read to you is one thing, but hearing her tell it in her own words and hearing her, she's reliving this stuff and the fear and the emotion in her voice. I do not doubt a single part of the story.
No.
It was so real coming out of her mouth. I was literally just like, I remember driving along going, no, oh my God. The part about the puppy, that really creeps me out.
Yeah.
Really creeps me out because that was not a dog out there.
Nope. So that's
a
heck of a story.
Thank you for sharing. That is, I can't even imagine the terror.
Yeah, thank you so much, Casey. I don't know what to say. That's just creepy.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
So now, this was a voicemail sent in by Scott, who we read a story from just a little while ago. This was a voicemail he sent in. So this is from Stranger Scott.
Hey guys, I wanted to share a story with you for your Listener Stories episode. When I joined the Strange Sessions group, I wrote a message to you guys asking if you would ever consider doing an episode on the ghost lights of Chestnut Ridge. I wanted to share the reason why I asked in the first place. When I was a kid, my father used to tell me the story about seeing a strange light in the woods when he was a teen back in the 1970s. We live in northern West Virginia near the border with Pennsylvania, and we live at the southern end of the Chestnut Ridge. He and a friend were out riding ATVs in a remote area of the woods one night. The ridge, as we call it, was only accessible by an off-road trail at the time. It was a good spot for a couple of boys who wanted to get away from their parents for a while, so they stopped their ATVs to have a left-handed cigarette. While they were hanging out, one of them saw a strange light over the hill. My dad said it was one of the scariest things he's ever seen. It made him feel uneasy. He said it moved up the hill so smoothly that he knew it couldn't be a flashlight, a lantern, or headlights from another ATV, because they would be bouncing, trying to make it up this terrain. And where this light was coming up was nowhere near the trail. It was coming straight up the hill. He said that it gave off a green glow. When the thing reached the top of the hill, it started coming their direction. They panicked, and they took off on their ATVs back to their house. When he got home, my dad said he was shook up and felt like he had witnessed something out of this world. He really believed it to be something extraterrestrial. So the next day, he was talking to an old-timer who lived down the road, and he told him about what had happened that night. Now, this old-timer told him that when he was a teenager in the 1920s, he and his brother went up there to camp out one night, setting up a tent, having a fire. One of them saw a light coming towards the camp. Now, this is the 1920s. They didn't have ATVs or a fast way to get out of there, so they decided to hide in the brush. The old-timer told my dad that he got a good look up close at this light, and it was just a ball of light. But he said he got the impression that it was intelligent because it looked around the campsite for a couple of minutes before going back from the direction it came. Now, this freaked him out pretty good, and he said that neither him nor his brother slept that night, and first light the next morning, they got out of there. Now, as a kid, I loved these stories. They fascinated me. And getting into my teenage years, the ridge was a good spot for friends and me to go hang out. We would go up there and go hunting for the light. None of us ever saw it, but it was a huge part of growing up. It was a huge part of my life. But I always assumed it was just a story. It was something fun. That was until a few years ago when I was listening to Coast to Coast AM and I heard a documentary filmmaker on there talking about his new documentary, The Ghost Lights of Chestnut Ridge. And the stories he told that night were so similar to the stories that I had heard growing up from my father and from this old-timer. I don't know what it is my father saw, but I am determined to see this thing for myself. I think it's the only way I'll ever get any answers. Love your podcast. Keep up the good work.
Okay, first off, as he was talking, Kurt said, he's got a great podcasting voice.
He does have,
he totally does.
He does have a great podcasting voice.
Yeah, you might want to think about a side hustle there, Scott, because you've got, at least the voice for it.
Yes.
So. Yeah, that's a really cool story. I love stories like this that have kind of crossed over generations. Yeah. Like I love.
I know you're super fascinated with lights, like ghost lights, like the Paulding lights.
Totally, yeah. Even though I totally think that was debunked.
I know. In our episode about it, we were like, eh.
It's interesting to think that I am not an orb person. I do not like orbs. I think most orbs that people claim to capture in videos and photographs are just dust, bugs, condensation,
but I think there's a difference between ghost lights and orbs.
Yeah, I think that's totally different. So I just want to clarify there. But the fact that the early story from the old timer and his grandfather, that it seemed to have an intelligence to it, that is really fascinating to me.
That was
like
a
it
really
came and looked
story.
around their campsite and then went back the way it came.
Yeah.
So did they say what color that one was? Because I know the
Wasn't it
story.
green?
Well, the story with his dad when they were on the ATVs in the 70s, that was green.
Yeah.
But I don't know I don't recall now, even though it literally was 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
If the story of the old timer, the one that came to their camp, was green as well. I don't remember if he said that or not.
Either.
But
so many of those are green. So many of those lights are green. The
Mm-hmm.
ghost light reports that I see. So I don't know. I just think it's super interesting. I love the idea of ghost lights, but I think
what is it?
I think even though we debunked the Paulding lights, I still think
didn't debunk it.
Well, no, other people did, but we
exposed their
debunkery. I don't know.
Oh, debunkery is way better than debuncture. Okay.
So,
what's weird is ghost lights are that thing that I have no clue how to even explain what they could possibly be. Just like energy.
But, I don't know. So many of them get immediately called headlights in the distance or whatever, or
fireflies,
or earth lights,
ball
coming,
lightning, or whatever.
Lightning.
Yeah. Which I've never seen.
I'm always going to be fascinated with them. So I think that was an awesome story. So thank you so much, Scott.
I love that. I think it's really cool that he searches this. Yeah. He seeks this out for himself.
Because he asked us if we do an episode about that place. And I think
might be a mini mystery.
Or in a episode about the state.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people like our state episodes.
Well, and a close friend of mine is I've talked about this, lives in West Virginia and Harper's Ferry. Yeah. And that's supposed to be a very haunted area. So very cool.
So thank you so much, Scott.
Thank you, Scott, for both stories.
We are going to listen to Allison's. Okay. She hated sending this because she says that she talks too fast and her southern accent is thick.
Oh, I'm going to love it, though.
But our accent is... supposed accent. I still don't think we have one, but supposedly our accents are thick. Don't you know? Hey,
they're endearing.
Yeah,
our Wisconsin accents are endearing.
You could have such a good Wisconsin accent.
I could.
I mean, like when you talk, you don't have an accent to me, but when you do that,
I pretend to have one.
Your pretend accent is very good.
Oh my god! Okay.
Hey, Kurt and Krista, it's Allison from Alabama. I've been listening for quite some time, thanks to the amazing April supplying me with podcast recommendations. Congratulations on 50 episodes, and I hope y'all have many more to come. I have lots of personal paranormal encounter stories, but I wanted to share some of my favorites about my loved ones who've passed on. I've shared some here and there in the group, so I won't reshare those, but anywho, here goes. So my sister's high school sweetheart / fiance, he passed away in 2008 after a four-wheeler accident. We were always really close and I could talk to him about anything. A few years after his accident in 2010, my sister and I moved in together in this, little 2-bedroom apartment in town. Our bedrooms were on opposite sides of the apartment, but only separated by like a short wall leading out of my room and then the living room in the middle. I was home alone one day and I heard a noise in the kitchen, so I came out of my room to check on it. As I came around the corner of the hallway wall, I saw him standing inside my sister's bedroom. I saw like his entire self. He looked exactly as I remembered him, and I even remember it looked as if he was wearing his own clothes, a green and white striped polo, khaki pants, and the boots he always wore. And he just had that Bubba smile that always lit up the room. Fast forward to 2018, after I had my oldest daughter, I was carrying her into the dining room at my house I live in now, and I caught a glimpse of the same green and white and his brown shaggy hair in my back French door windows. I never acknowledged seeing in the moment, but like I always make a mental note to tell my sister later on. As I sat down at the table with my daughter, she pulled her pacifier out, held it in front of her and said, "Here, Bubba," and giggled. We've never talked about him to my daughter, and there isn't anyone else who we call Bubba. That was just my name for him. To quote Paranormal Palaver, it gave me the ghost bumps. Well, there goes. Can't wait to hear more from y'all. Hope y'all are doing well. Talk to y'all later.
Okay, the baby offering the pacifier to Bubba is what got me.
It's fun. It'd be funny if we recorded our reactions when we're listening to these, which we're not because we're listening and then we insert it. But like when we got to that part, Krista went, "Oh my god,
yeah,
you're really loud."
That's crazy. And by the way, I love your Southern drawl. It's awesome.
But on the other hand, it's good that they don't hear us during them because that a little while ago we were both singing Vanilla Ice for whatever reason I can't remember.
Stop. Collaborate and listen.
That's what we were saying. So no, that was a really, really good story.
Yeah, I love stuff like that.
I do too. I mean, that stuff makes me wonder if the person coming back, is it just like an energy, like residual energy of the person, of the, is the ghost, do they know what they're doing?
Right. Are they checking in on you?
Are they checking in? Is it just,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm just fascinated with, that happens a lot. I know a lot of people who say they were visited by. But did he live in
their house? It'd be
remember.
weird if it were residual energy. You would think that these encounters would happen in the house that he lived in, not in her house. But who knows?
It makes me. I
like
want
he's
to
checking
think.
in.
I want to think that we can do that after we pass away. I want to think that we can go back,
but that we're not trapped.
No, but that we're not trapped. But that we can go and check up and visit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was just that was
too.
Interesting story. So thank you.
Maybe he wanted to meet her kids.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
But
and needed a pacifier.
Yeah,
at some
when
point.
she said Bubba.
Yeah, that is. I mean, used his name. That's interesting.
So very good story.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So thank you so much for sending that in, Allison. That was awesome. And now I want to read a message we just got while we were recording from stranger Stephanie. She sent us a story to the last episode.
Okay.
She said, I'm so sorry I missed the deadline to send you all something for your big show. I'm so proud of you and happy to see you thrive at what you love to do and are great at. It's truly a privilege to see and know you.
Aww.
Oh, thank you so much, Stephanie.
That's so sweet.
You are the best. Thank you so much. And it's okay if you missed a story this time.
Well, yeah, as we said earlier.
Yeah, you can send us a story anytime.
Every episode.
We're just going to start playing what people call in and say and send us.
Although I do love these dedicated episodes.
I do
to
too.
Listener stories,
I do too. But as we get more listeners, we'll have more stories. So we should have enough for another episode next season.
Exactly.
So thank you, Stephanie. And now we want to get to a story sent in by Casey, who sent us the story about the roof walker.
Okay.
So this was Casey calling our phone number.
Hi, this is Casey. I'd like to share an experience I had with a friend of mine a few years ago. She's an EMT for our ambulance department, and my husband, who's on the fire department, were both paged out for an accident. I stayed at her house because her kids were too small to be on their own yet. So a couple of hours later, when she returned, she was telling me about the accident as she was walking me out to my Jeep. Once we got to my Jeep, I happened to glance up at the sky, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There were hundreds upon hundreds of white figures with wings flying across the sky. They were side by side, row by row. They were every shape and size you could think of. My friend made the comment, there goes the boys' guardian angels. They must be returning back home. Two boys who were going to be graduating from high school in about a week were out cruising around the back roads, having some fun. And when they turned on to a gravel road, they lost control and the car began to flip a couple of times. When it landed on its top and slid down the gravel road some more before coming to a complete stop. Both boys were very lucky. They walked away from the accident with only some bruising and a few scratches. But my friend and I, what we witnessed that night, we have no doubt that angels do exist, and it was nice to see a side of the paranormal that was a positive thing instead of something scary or evil. Again, I want to wish you guys a happy 50th episode. Here's to another 50. You guys are amazing. Keep up the awesome work. Thanks.
That was so sweet.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And
guardian angels. I love the idea.
It reminded me of the
butterfly people.
The butterfly people.
Yeah.
And I actually had a lot of people message me and say that they love that story of the butterfly people of Joplin.
It was really cool.
So that was a great story. So thank you so much, Casey.
Yeah.
I mean, I love like the happier.
Yeah, they don't all have to be scary.
No. But
that's really cool. I love the idea of guardian angels, and it is kind of miraculous that after being in a car that flipped over twice and landed on its roof, that those boys walked away with almost no injuries.
Yeah, it just totally reminds me of the butterfly people, and I love that story. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Casey.
Now we have a voice recording that was sent in by listener Brian. that sent this, I think, last season, and we totally forgot to put it in the episode.
Whoops.
So we are so sorry. We're so sorry about that.
I thought he meant he sent it like recently.
No, it was sent a while ago.
Like last year.
Yeah, so we totally forgot about it. We're finally getting around to adding it, so thank you so much, Brian. Sorry that we left it out of the last one. So this was sent to us by Stranger Brian.
Hey guys, I'm Brian, and I'm over here sipping my coffee, and I thought I'd record a couple little stories for you. First off, I want to say that I've been listening to your podcast ever since I found the show on Ouija boards and Zozo. There, I said the name, so hopefully I don't get cursed, but I've been hooked ever since, and I've been going backwards and listening to all of your shows, and gotta say, I'm a big fan, and I'll be listening as long as you keep recording them. But anyway, my stories, I guess you can say they're sort of paranormal. They fall in that territory. They're about dreams. 2 dreams in particular I want to share with you at this moment. But God, the first one must have been 11 years old or something like that. I remember I'm just sort of wandering through this deep fog, really, really thick fog that was sort of on the ground, and you couldn't see a few inches in front of your face. So I'm just walking forward, and I hear this muffled noise. It sounded like a screaming off in the distance. So I just kept following that noise, and I kept walking and walking and walking, and finally I came up to it. And it's sort of like the fog cleared. In front of me, there was this hunched being, like somebody that was in a big dark cloak that was just hunched over. So it was just like a hump there. And I noticed that the screaming was coming from this particular individual, this thing that was hunched over. So I sort of walked up closer to it, and logic tells you that if this were to happen in real life, you'd run the opposite direction, but of course in your dreams you tend to be a little braver. So I sort of leaned down to touch this particular thing, and I came up really close to it, and then it sort of sprung up, and I noticed that it was this older lady with dark hair, and I remember the eyes were just blackened out, and it was screaming. She was screaming like she was in pain and torment, and her mouth was all bloodied. There was just all blood splashed on her mouth, and she was just screaming and screaming, and it just became louder and louder and louder until I woke up. So I just kept it to myself, and I never said anything about the dream until about a week later. I'm asleep, and I wake up to this screaming, and my mother is screaming, and she's in pain, and I notice that she's got blood all on her mouth, and she's telling me to just, calm down. We're being robbed. I guess we had some intruders in our house, and yeah, that was a very terrifying moment. And I remember her just locking the door behind her in the room of where me and my brother were, and it was really late at night, and I remember the male voices in the other side of the door and some banging, and then the next thing I knew, there were cops, and it was just a chaotic, terrifying night. But something stuck in my head, and I remember that dream. So later on, after the cops left, and my mom basically, I lived alone, just with my mom, and my brothers. But I remember telling her after everything was cleared out, and we were locked in our room again, and it was late, and I remember she was clutching a knife, and we were watching the movie Clue. So I remember telling her, Mom, I dreamt about this night. Like, I dreamt that there was this woman, and she was screaming, and she had blood on her mouth, just like you did. And so she told me, it kind of felt like a movie. Like, it felt very much like somebody was telling a younger child in the movie this particular thing, but she was like, well, if you're anything like me and the way that I grew up, you have a very special gift, and I'll only tell you just to remember your dreams. So I kind of, you're 11 years old, you hear that, you don't think anything of it, you just think, oh my God, we just got robbed. But anyway, years and years and years later, I've always had sort of these weird dreams. But this other one I had in my early 20s, just after college, I dreamt that I was walking up to a bus stop, just sort of in the middle of nowhere, and I noticed this older lady just sitting there, and she was sort of singing, so I sat down next to her, and she looked at me, stopped singing, and very sternly said, "You're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to leave. You're supposed to go now. I'm the one that's waiting for this bus. You need to leave." So I was like, oh, okay. And then she pulls a cookie out of her bag, and she's like, "Here, have a cookie." "Oh, I must piddle before I puddle. The bus needs to get here very quickly." And then I remembered her saying "piddle before I puddle" because that remark seemed very, very familiar to me. So the bus shows up, and she gets up, and she very sternly pushes me away and tells me, "You need to leave now. I need to get on this bus. But before you go, I need to tell you that you're a very, very nice man, and I hope you and my grandson are friends for a very, very long time. I love you dearly." She kisses me on the cheek and makes sure that I have the cookie, and she gets on the bus and she leaves. And I'm just sitting there with the cookie in my hand, and the bus drives away. And then I wake up, and then I feel such sadness. I remember very distinctly, I had, my eyes were very teary. And so I think "piddle before I puddle," that sounds like my friend Craig's grandmother. So in a frantic kind of move, I call him, and it's very early in the morning still. And I call him, and I'm very scared because I'm like, I don't want his mom to answer, and it's very early in the morning still. But he answered, and he sounded very, very just flat, just not like him, And I'm like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And he tells me that he just received word that his grandmother passed away. So, I tell him how sorry I am. I'd never told him about my dream that I had, but that I remember his grandmother used to always say, "Oh, I have to piddle before I puddle." And it just, it was a very nice moment, because I feel like, to this day, I feel like things sort of speak to me in my dreams, and I have no idea why or how they come. Sometimes they come randomly. Sometimes I dream of something and it's a very distinct thing, and then sometimes it's a very remote thing, random thing that I just remember, sort of like a deja vu. But I remember them always when I wake up, which is a weird thing. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Like I said, keep up the great work, and I'll be here on the other side listening to you guys. Thanks so much, and take care. Bye.
I loved those stories.
I did too. I'm going to have better piddle before I puddle now stuck in my head.
And that's such a key part of the story, though, because that's how he was able to identify who it was in the dream.
Yeah.
It's like she knew she was going, and getting on the bus was her passing.
Yep.
And you can't come with me because it's not your time yet.
Oh, I love stuff like that.
I do too. Wow. Very cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. That was great.
The first story was pretty scary, though.
Yeah, that was.
To have a premonition of what was going to happen to your mom during a...
Has this happened to you since you recorded? I mean, have you had more dreams since you recorded this episode?
Yeah, I'd like to hear more.
Yeah, let us know, because that was
dreams
amazing.
Dreams are so
that
fascinating. My husband and I were just talking about dreams last night, because he had a nightmare the other night, and he rarely remembers his dreams. I often, if I have to wake him up or whatever, I try to get it out of him right away, because by the time he wakes up later in the morning, he won't remember it.
Yeah.
But we had a conversation about recurring dreams, and he recounted like a recurring dream that he had as a kid, and I did the same thing. And I think it's so interesting how dreams have such an impact on you and will stay with you for decades.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's very cool.
Because I've had dreams that have stayed with me. So
yeah.
No, that was an amazing story. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sending that in. Now we have email that was sent to us by stranger Ryan. And he says, first off, congratulations, and thank you for putting out a fun and entertaining podcast. You're welcome. I found you when trying to find a replacement for Thinking Sideways. And that means a lot to me because Thinking Sideways is kind of
what you modeled
what I based this on. Because they talked about paranormal stuff. They talked about true crime stuff. Anything strange or weird, they kind of talked about it. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with this. So thank you so much. I hope we've been an adequate replacement for Thinking Sideways. I miss Thinking Sideways.
Yeah.
You have been doing a wonderful job. If you ever want free help doing research, let me know. We might be hitting you up for that.
Yeah, have we mentioned our intern?
It is part of my job and a personal interest. Cool. For a paranormal story, I have several. So this time I'll give you the first, which happened to me. When I was very young, perhaps 7 years old, I shared a room with my brother. A lamp was always on overnight. Many nights I would have difficulty sleeping, so I would lay in my bed and stare at the hallway. One night when I couldn't sleep, I saw a large figure step through the wall into the hallway and then into my room. It stood approximately 8 feet tall, humanoid, but very large and made of swirling light. The swirling lights were different shades of red, yellow, and orange. No details were evident, but I could see the arms swing as the legs moved. It creeps me out.
Yeah.
It walked very slowly towards the end of the room where we were sleeping. As a very young child who had learned most ways to react to situations from cartoons and children's programming, I came up with the idea that I could run in between its legs to get away. So I stood up, closed my eyes, and ran at it. When I stopped and opened my eyes, there was nothing there. I turned around to return to bed, and the swirling light was directly in front of me, perhaps a foot or two.
Oh, no.
Yuck. I continued to watch as the hulking figure of light slowly walked through the room, passed through the bed and my brother, and then through the wall. At that point, I began to scream in complete terror. I ran into my parents' room where my mother was already getting out of bed. She tried to talk to me, then shook me gently as if I was hysterical. I know this was easy to discount as the imagination of a child or a nightmare. However, even then, I knew what was real or what was play. Also, I was very, very awake. This was the first of multiple odd things I have experienced throughout my life. Perhaps I'll share another at a different time, maybe another anniversary episode. So thanks again for your hard work on the podcast, and congratulations, Ryan.
Well, thank you,
Yeah,
Ryan.
thank you. But
that's creepy as hell.
It reminds me a little bit of the green thing I saw in my bedroom.
Yeah.
But this is, I can like picture this in my head, and I don't know why. But this is just super interesting.
Yeah.
I love this story. I love what this thing is. I don't know. I just think this is really cool.
Doesn't sound like it was fun to experience, though.
No, but it sounds like it was. I don't know. I'm fascinated by the description of the thing, like the swirling lights, but the arms, but the legs, and the arms swinging. I don't know. I love that.
That's super creepy.
I love that. So thank you so much, Ryan. Yeah, we
thank
definitely
you.
want to hear more from you because that was awesome. So thank you. And I think the last thing we have before we reveal the winner of the contest is another story from Devin Zahn. So here it is.
Hello, my name is Devin Zahn, and I'm sharing with you my second paranormal experience that I've had in my life. This one is much more recent than my first one that I had as a child. This one actually happened about a year and a half ago while I was out with my friend Josh. A little backstory, my friend Josh, his father passed away a long time ago, and essentially he was buried out in this kind of graveyard and out in the middle of nowhere, out on a highway near Kiwani, not in a city, literally out in the country. I forget the name of the cemetery exactly, but this cemetery itself was completely surrounded by trees. It also had a little break in the center of the graveyard where there was also a patch of trees. Josh's dad was buried on the far side in the back of the graveyard. So that's where we were at this point. It was winter, and so, it was snow everywhere, and honestly, it was a really poorly tended to graveyard. All the graves were buried. You could just taste the disrespect that was being given to all these bodies. And honestly, I feel like that's kind of why what happened. But anyway, Josh was kneeling down, his back to the center tree line, clearing off his dad's grave. I had just lit off a fresh cigarette. Because I had been smoking at the time. And it was very peaceful in the graveyard at this point. You could it looked like a picturesque Christmas story moment, but all of a sudden it kind of shifted on a dime. It felt more, I don't want to say angry. It felt different. But that's when I had noticed. I had looked up past Josh in the tree line, towards, obviously towards the tree line, and I had seen this figure. Now, it's going to sound crazy, but he looked like a Dementor from Harry Potter, but since he was in the tree line, he was in the shadows, and it was dusk, so there was some light, but there wasn't, so I could just make out the outline of it. And what gave it away as not a tree, not just matrix of the light, was the fact that I could see fabric flowing off of it, and I could actually see its hands through the fabric on its sleeves, and it was terrifying. It looked like the Grim Reaper without a scythe, and Josh had his back to the entire time. I had just lit the cigarette. I hadn't even taken one puff off it, and it had burned down to the stump. That's how terrified I was. And I kept telling Josh to look up at it, because I could not take my eyes off it, because if I did, it would move towards us. So Josh, after probably like 5 minutes of me badgering him to just look, dude, he could hear the trembling in my voice. He finally said, okay, stood up and turned around to look in the direction that I was telling him. And to both our surprise, it was gone. After like a minute of me trying to convince him, I know what I saw, he went back to tending the grave. And that was that. But we were in the same position as we were when we first got there then. Him back to the tree line, me looking towards the tree line. And when I looked back at the tree line, it was back. But this time it was in a different spot, a little bit closer to us and a little more to the front of the tree line. I started badgering Josh, please, dude, if you can't see it, can we just go? And the entire time, this thing's just staring at us. You could see the fabric flowing, and the fact that it had moved now, it had me convinced that this was something other than just my figment of my imagination. We never found out what it was, but needless to say, I forced Josh to get us the hell out of there. Thank you for listening.
Well, I've never heard that one before.
No.
And that's really scary.
Yeah, that gave me the creeps.
The fact that he stood there for 5 minutes looking at this thing, that's
the description
crazy.
Of the thing got to me. The
fact that you could see the fabric moving.
Yeah.
It wasn't a shadow figure. It was something there.
That's crazy creepy.
Ugh.
Thank you so much, Devin.
I wonder what the meaning of that was, I
don't know, but I want to talk to Devin. I got to talk to Devin about some of this stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah. We need to have Devin on the show.
We should have Devin on the show.
That was
He's
awesome.
Probably got more experience.
Yeah, that was awesome, Devin. Thank you so much for your stories.
Wow, creepy.
And
super creepy.
We also got stranger Elena sent me a link that she has a YouTube where she talks about what has happened to her. And she said we could use it if we want, but it's better to hear her tell her story.
Yeah,
so I'm going to put a link to that
it.
in the Strangers and on the Strange Sessions. Cool. So you can go and watch her video, because she does a really good job of explaining some stuff that happened to her.
Cool.
So thank you. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Came through.
We had dreams, we had creepy ghosts, we had creepy roof walkers, we had premonitions. So that was all awesome. So thank you so much, you guys.
I love that we had a good balance of emailed stories and voicemails too.
Yep.
Way more than any other episode.
So much. That was great. So thank you, everybody. So now I am going to use my app to pick a name. I got to take off my glasses because I'm getting old and can't read my phone anymore. So everybody who sent us a story or a congratulations is in this app. The app is called Choose For Me.
I would think you would need the glasses to see your phone.
No, my phone is close. I can't read my phone anymore with my glasses on. I know I got to get new glasses. So I'm going to open the app. Everybody that submitted something is in here. And now I got to wait for an ad because I'm cheap and didn't pay for the app. So, see, it says...
I wouldn't pay for it either.
It says 50th episode winner, and then I press Choose For Me, and it picks one of the names at random.
Okay.
Whoops. Figured out how to do this.
Hopefully you didn't just delete everyone.
So we have a winner.
Okay.
Anna.
Aww,
Anna,
that's
you
so sweet.
I'll just send the stuff to Dash.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'd love the $50 gift certificate. I can't believe it picked Anna.
Yeah, that's so cute.
Thank you so much, everybody, for your stories. And Anna, you won $50 gift card. You won a signed copy of one of our show notes that we used in the episode.
So you tell us what show you
want.
Yeah,
tell us what your favorite episode was, and we'll sign it, and we'll write a little message on there, and we'll send it to you along with some stickers.
Yeah.
So I totally never thought of Anna winning the contest.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
So that is awesome. So Anna, thank you so much for your story about seeing the boy on the slide. So Anna, you win the contest. So thank you.
Yay.
And instead, because it's getting to be a long episode, instead of a listener question, we'll just kind of say thank you.
We wouldn't be here without you guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, this whole episode was from you guys.
Yeah.
So that's so amazing that, A, you're willing to share your stories with us, and I don't know, B, that you're even listening.
Yeah. So thank you. And, we'll talk about the podcast a little bit. A couple people have asked what equipment we use. Yeah. So Krista's our techie.
Not really. I have to I can see the box for our mixing board behind Kurt there. And it's, what does that say? Xenyx? It's like XENYX. And the model we have is at a
Q1202.
Yeah, USB. It's small. I would say it's like, I don't know, 8x8 inches, something like that. It's not very difficult. I think it does the job.
Soundboard.
Yeah, and I think our microphones are. I actually have to look at the microphone. It's a Behringer microphone. XM18001, it looks like, is the model we use. We did not spend a lot of money on this stuff. I think we have quite a few microphones. We maybe have like 8 of them.
But big props to Jeff and Joe, because they're the ones that kind of... Yeah.
Jeff is the one who picked out all this equipment.
Yeah.
And if we spent $200 total on all of our microphones, including, I think, the arms that connect to the table and kind of suspend the microphone in front of us, that thing that squeaks...
and now it doesn't squeak when she purposely moved the microphone around and it didn't squeak. But now whenever she moves it squeaks.
Everybody's like, so yeah, it's not, you don't need expensive equipment to do this.
No, I'm amazed when I edit our episodes how good it sounds. I think
it really comes down to experimenting. You've listened to our first episodes. It wasn't so good in the beginning, but you just got to dial it in. I record on Audacity, which is a free program you can download. I know that if you have a Mac, GarageBand works really well.
And that's what I do all my editing on when I edit the episodes is Audacity.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And like she said, for the people that have been with us from the beginning or have gone back and listened to our first episodes,
thank you
so much for sticking it out.
Not sure I would have.
No, because our sound quality was awful.
Really
I'm glad we finally got a little better. I feel like we can still improve a little bit on some stuff. But But
I think so.
Thank you for sticking with us, and
continuous
you guys are the best. Krista, I want to ask you favorite episodes that we have done in the past 50.
I love anything involving missing persons.
Yeah.
So the Missing 411 is definitely...
Missing 411s are like the universal favorite.
They're so fascinating.
Yep.
I think missing person cases in general fascinate me because the world of possibilities to what happened to these people, the ones that are never found, and even the ones that are found, is just, I don't know. I think you always hold out hope that someone will be found, too, because we see that happen, which is crazy. But that would be the Missing 411. What about you?
Missing 411s are awesome. I mean...
Is that your favorite?
My favorite, I'm going to have to go with the Bet Sphere, just because I love the Bet Sphere.
Love that one.
But I also really like the Captain Coochie's Key Lime Pie because I was super happy that people liked it, because I was seriously afraid that people were going to be like, this was stupid. Why did you do this?
No, it's
so
interesting.
The fact that people didn't, I
mystery.
really like that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a soft spot for every episode where we have somebody sit in as a guest host.
Yeah.
I loved Corey with the John Teeter, Jamie, Area 51. Sophie and Adam were here for
Hazozo.
Rhonda was here for Lake Michigan Triangle and
EVPs.
Alien Abductions.
Oh, yeah, and the EVP episode.
Joe popped in for I love the Joe episode because we went off on such a tangent.
Was that the reality one?
No, I think that was the Shadow People. Wasn't it Shadow People or Hatman or one of the... But we went off on such a crazy tangent about this and that. Everybody that has been here. Are we forgetting anybody?
Oh, God.
And Mark and Rhonda with the EVP, because they were here for the EVPs. And I hope we're not forgetting anybody.
No, I think that's it. Those were our guests.
Yeah. If we're forgetting you, we're sorry. But I love the episodes where somebody sits in. There's going to be more of those. So, I mean, there's been a couple that I've been like disappointed in.
Was it the Maura Murray episode?
Well, besides that one. Like there's some that I feel could be better, but like everybody knows, like when I get done recording an episode, everybody asks me how was it, and I'm like, I don't know. And then once I edit it, I'm like, that wasn't bad.
Literally after I hit stop and I start saving it, Kurt says, "What do you think?" Every episode, what do you think? Was it a good episode? And I always think they're good. I mean, are there things we can improve upon? Of course.
Yeah.
Do glitches happen? Yes. Yeah. But
we're getting better.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So we just want
we don't want a perfect podcast.
No.
We're not perfect people. We have somebody mentioned the small town feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have, and why
I agree.
Why
Totally
change
agree.
that?
So just thank you everybody for being with us for these episodes. I mean, and Krista, I love you to death.
Aw, I love you too, Kurt.
I mean, this is like one of the highlights of my life doing this.
Aww.
So I'm so glad that this happened.
Me too.
So thank you for being my co-host, not just my moral support. And thank you for everything you do. And thank you to all of you for listening. This has been a great 50 episodes. I'm hoping, like everybody else said, for another 50
more.
So 50 more.
2 more years. I can do this for 2 more years.
I can do. I'm hoping I'll be around.
Yeah.
But
Yes, you will. Damn
no
it.
pecans or melons or whatever else I get weird allergies to. So thank you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts. We love you guys. We're so happy to have you along with us. And anything else you want to say?
Nope, that's it. Oh, deets. Are we going to give them the deets?
Oh, deets. I almost forgot deets.
I almost forgot our deets. So just a reminder, Anna Banana.
Yep, we're going to be getting in touch.
Let us know which episode you want show notes from, and you'll get a little.
We will sign them and write a little message on there for you. So you can email us at thestrangesessions@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at Strange Session, no S. Instagram, Krista does a great job at The Strange Sessions. You can send us snail mail, postcards. We love postcards. We love food items. We'd love anything you'd send us. At The Strange Sessions, P.O. Box 434, Manitowoc, Wisconsin 54221-0434. We haven't got any postcards lately.
No,
Bridget actually sent me a birthday package.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she did.
Nice.
So thank you, Bridget. You are the best, and we love you.
And what's our phone number again?
Phone number is 920-443-9602.
Again, you have 3 minutes to leave
We have 3
a
minutes,
message.
but call with anything. Call just to say hi. We'd like to hear your voices. You guys hear our voices. We'd like to hear yours. So thank you for everybody that has called.
Even if you have to leave a 2-parter, we can totally edit those together.
Work our magic on that. So please feel free to send us stuff and call. And I believe that's it.
Yeah.
Episode 50's in the books.
Crazy. That's a wrap.
Thank you so much, you guys. And from Krista and I from the Old School Media Studio, until next time, stay strange. Is that okay?
This has been an Old School Media production, executive produced by Kirk Konechny. For more information and content, please visit strangesessions.com.